This is a Poet Punch podcast.
To set the scene,
Uh-huh.
we're in the normal Freaky Feige elevator.
Uh-huh, right.
Hello.
Hello. Mr. Feige's here as well. Hello,
yeah,
Mr. Feige.
Yeah, he is, yeah. So we're in the elevator, and Feige gets out.
Mate, come back. Mate, we're not done here.
He gestures to
We're
us.
not done here.
Like the man of steel, like, stay there.
He's done with us.
Yeah.
That's the end of the podcast.
We're in the elevator.
Wrap it up.
So anyway, we stay in the elevator.
Okay.
We might as well go to the office anyway.
We have an office in this building?
Well, there's an
We
office.
didn't just break into Marvel Studios.
No, I mean we've been.
Are we canonically employees this whole time?
We're not employees.
We're not just broke.
We're not employees, but we're regularly invited to come and pitch.
There's like a floor that,
there's a pitching floor. Yeah.
You know, like in Die Hard, where there's like a floor that's still under construction.
Yeah, that's it.
We sleep there.
Yeah.
That's our connection to this building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
So, as we're in the elevator, suddenly a wave of energy goes over us. Whoa! Whoa! And as you look around now, suddenly,
yeah,
it's a different elevator.
How so? Would you like to describe how the elevator's different?
So the current elevator that we're normally in is a silver one. It's
like
all metal.
metallic.
It's all metal.
Yeah.
This is a much nicer one with wooden panels and a handrail.
Right.
And it's all very confusing. And as the door opens on the supposedly empty office, you notice that the building it's all furnished. It's nice.
It's like Loki. It's like Loki season 2.
No, yeah.
It's like Loki season 2 where he's like, whoa! And then he's in a different place. It's like that,
And so
multiple universe in that.
We decide to explore, have a little walk around.
Right.
And you notice there's an office with both our names on it.
Impossible.
It says lead writers.
Fuck. Okay.
And there's a USB drive that's on the main desk in this room.
Right.
And a laptop connected up to a projector.
Let me guess.
There's a little note. There's a note. Don't worry. There's a note.
Right.
I'm reading it. It says.
Okay.
Go through the presentation on here. But before that, there's a quick video to give you some context to remind you of the movie you're working on. P.S. We're technically already filming this movie, so hurry the fuck up, please. We don't have a script yet. So,
whoa, what is this presentation?
So it's
whoa,
regular presentation. It says on the front page there's Avengers: Kang Dynasty.
Thomas,
I think
we're in an alternate universe, right? Hear me out.
That would make sense to me.
Alternate universe, right? Not based on this, based on the wood paneling.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because there's no way they got that.
Yeah, because
it takes them 3 weeks to make a set.
Famously metallic.
Yeah.
Right. Right, and then there's this presentation here, right, called Avengers: Kang Dynasty. I think we're supposed to come up with the plot. Right?
Yes.
So it's not us pitching this time. It's us.
It's us
delivering.
Writing. It's us
writing. Delivering.
Yeah. So remember, they said there was a video. They said there was a video. So I'm wondering if there's another. Yes.
Oh, Kang Dynasty reveal.
All right, now. All right, let's watch this and let's. We can comment. I think we can. Talk
comment.
Over this.
We can comment. Okay.
All right.
You want to hear a little bit about the Avengers films?
Okay, so it seems to be Comic-Con.
One thing that people have been asking of late is who the heck is going to direct these 2 movies?
Did you fucking...
Interesting. It's interesting. This
Interesting.
Joe and Anthony Russo.
Okay, so
it's still the
Russos.
It's the Russo brothers.
See, we had a version of this.
Yeah.
In our timeline.
We missed you guys.
This is the most elaborate.
Damn fans in the world.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
A bit
Interesting.
pandering.
Thank you.
So, Joe, are we really going to do this?
I don't know. All right, we're up here, right? Kevin, can we still back out? Is it? No?
Okay. Just hear me out. When we directed...
I can't believe this.
Avengers Endgame.
Right.
Yeah.
And I truly believed that it was the end of the road for us.
Yeah, that would make sense because it's called Endgame.
Yeah.
Right.
In the time since, through a very special story, Joe and I have come to potentially see a road forward with you.
So far, this is the same as the
Right.
our timeline. I
Right,
think.
yeah. Almost like it's spliced together
Biggest
footage.
story that Marvel Comics ever told. And
Interesting.
I think you all know the name of it.
Right. What?
Yo.
Wow!
So they're still doing Kang Dynasty, huh? That's wild.
Oh,
We are in fact doing it.
That is wild. I can't believe. Well,
they are in
they're
fact doing it. That's what they said. They
But-
said we are in fact
yeah.
doing it.
I bet you didn't see that coming.
No, I
Yeah, because I thought they
saw
would
none
go
of
on
this
to
coming.
Doomsday.
Very important character that is required
Interesting.
to do justice.
Oh my god. It's a bunch of Kangs coming onto the screen instead of Doom. That's very interesting.
Oh, it's kind of like our timeline, but not.
Yeah, they've capped Kang instead.
One of the more complex characters in all of comics, right, Kevin? I mean, this is potentially one of the more entertaining characters in all of fiction. If
Right,
we're gonna
right.
do this, if we're going to bring him to movie theaters worldwide.
Right, but they've already done that. They've already brought him to movie theaters.
Yeah, but they've
but
had to
it's
change
just
actors. They've had
again-
to change actors.
Yeah.
So because Jonathan Majors, I assume, is still bad in this universe.
that character.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay, ladies and gentlemen,
Right.
All right.
we give you
Oh.
Oh.
Whoa. One Kang is.
Whoa.
No way.
I guess they're big
No
fans of
way.
Paradise.
It's Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah.
Is Paradise real in this universe?
Well, yeah. Paradise has clearly come out, and people clearly love it, as you can hear by the reaction.
It's not like Sterling K. Brown didn't have a career before Paradise.
Yeah, but not many people watch This Is Us, to be fair. And most people don't remember him in Black Panther 1.
I see.
Does anybody have any questions? No. Everybody, thank you. Thanks so much.
All right. And there's a note on the other side of this, and the note says, "Yeah, we're really fucked here. We've started filming. It's a vague scene.
So they announced it last year.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're already filming.
And it says, and the note says, the scene we've done is the camera is on the green screen and there's no actors on it. It's just filming the green screen at the moment. So
they're on set right now.
Yeah.
Down the elevator or
Yeah.
whatever. They're on set.
They're waiting for us.
They're waiting for
to get
us.
the movie.
Maybe that's why Mr. Feige was looking at us weird.
Well, no, that was the other
Earlier.
universe. That was the other universe, Feige. He just got out. He would probably need a piss or something.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's go through this presentation again.
God, you have way
there's
too
more
much
to it. There's
free
more
time.
to it.
But yeah, go on.
All right.
Go on.
All right. So I see what's going on here. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
this presentation is trying to
Yeah.
remind us of the different Kang variants
Right, of course.
that we should keep in mind for this movie.
But I know all the Kang variants.
All right, but it's a good refresher.
single
It's a
one.
good refresher. All right. So the first one is He Who Remains. Now, we first saw him in Loki.
Mm-hmm.
His real name is Nathaniel Richards. He is related to Reed Richards. He's from the 31st
Oh,
century.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's a descendant.
He's a
And-
descendant of Reed Richards.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and technically Doctor Doom as well. That like their family lines eventually meet up.
Oh.
And he comes from the main MCU timeline, and he ends the multiversal war. That's what we know about him so far. So next we have Victor Timely, who is the closest we have to He Who Remains, but he's from the 19th century, and he was put there by He Who Remains
Right.
as kind of an insurance policy for when he died. And we first saw him in Loki season 2.
Yes.
And
of
he was
course.
taken to the TVA, and the last we saw of him, he was still there.
Yeah, right.
So we have Kang the Conqueror.
Mm-hmm. From
Now-
everyone's favourite movie, Ant-Man.
And the Wasp
Quantumania.
Quantum. Now, I assume in this universe that we're in, Quantumania did really well. I assume they probably just
I
changed.
don't know if there's any universe where Quantumania did really well.
I don't know.
It might have been okay.
It's possible. Anyway, so Kang the Conqueror, we don't know where he's from.
Uh-huh.
He was the first that we know to predict the multiverse collapsing,
Mm-hmm.
kind of ahead of the curve.
Right.
And because of that, the Kangs decided to get rid of him. And he's supposedly dead as of the end of Quantumania, but who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Now, Immortus, we don't know much about this guy. He is the leader of the Council of Kangs.
Big. Okay.
And that's it. That's all we know. And he has 2 cronies. They're Centurion, not to be confused with Centaurian, possible second or third in command. He's more of a cyborg type.
Right.
And then we have Rama Tut, who's the other possible second or third in command, who's kind of more of a pharaoh type.
Right.
Remember, they have time travel, so they probably lived in the
fuck
pharaohs.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all for the bit about these guys, it seems.
Yeah.
This is one we haven't seen yet, but I reckon would be worth thinking about at least. Maybe even being a point of view anchor point or
Right.
something for the movie.
It's our favourite Iron Lad from our version of Young Avengers. Yes.
Now I think that we're going to have to assume that none of Freaky Feige exists in this universe that we've been placed into for this day.
Indeed.
And so we can't use any of that. So we'll be going off of essentially imagining that the MCU or thinking of the MCU is coming all the way up to...
It's almost like if we were in a podcast, right, and this was a one-off episode.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, Iron Lad is the teenage version of Kang. He's from the 31st century, but he sees that the Kangs are all evil and is like, I don't want to grow up to be that. And so travels back in time to the 21st century and decides to hide as one of the Young Avengers.
Joins the Young Avengers.
Yes.
Right.
Now, some history. Don't worry. I'll go through it quickly.
Right.
So, as we've kind of already said, Nathaniel Richards from Earth 616 invents multiversal time travel. Yeah.
Yes.
There are multiple variants of Kang all meet and create the Council of Kangs. And things are going all right at the beginning, but the members begin to infight as the incursions occur.
The girls are fighting.
Yeah. The Kangs start killing each other, and they eventually start destroying whole universes.
Right.
And Nathaniel Richards finds Alliance, which is that weird dog ghost cloud thing from Loki and Deadpool and Wolverine. And
you mean the thing that eats things in
in the void.
Right.
Yeah. And that that he uses that to wipe out all of the other universes except for the sacred timeline. And Nathaniel Richards becomes officially He Who Remains. Now, after the war, he sets up the TVA.
What's HWR?
That's He Who Remains.
Right.
It's just been abbreviated for us there.
Right.
He erases the memories of the TVA, so they don't remember that he's in charge, and he creates this figureheads called the Timekeepers, who are just these robot lizard people.
I remember this from Loki
they're not that
season
important.
1.
And then Loki and Sylvie enter the TVA. They kill He Who Remains.
Right.
The multiverse spreads are open. The Loki then becomes the god of time.
And then the Kangs
the Kangs begin reappearing through the multiverse. And the idea is that it's a cycle that continues and continues and continues. So Kangs are born, they meet each other, they fight, they kill each other. One is left. That one is killed by a Loki, which brings the Kangs back, and so on and so on and so on. Now, I think that our movie, this is just an idea.
A hypothesis.
But I think our movie should be about potentially breaking that cycle and how that might be a worse option. Breaking the cycle might actually be worse for the multiverse or people than simply letting the cycle continue.
Okay.
Or what the consequences are of changing things around.
Who's to say? Now, again, this is just all the universes appearing. This is a more visual medium. Oh, no way.
Universes appearing.
The graphics on this presentation that's been left around.
And then, very simple.
Oh, and then the
timelines start getting chomped off. Yeah. And then that then leads to timeline decay and nothing left.
Cycle, right.
Now, these are some quick unanswered setups. Don't worry, we have this presentation to refer back to if anything. You don't have to store this all in your brain.
I love all this visual medium in the audio podcast.
This is mostly for us.
Yeah.
This is to store information because our brains are so small compared to the vastness that is a
Kang
$3 billion movie.
Kang.
Right, so the 10 rings.
Oh yeah, those fuckers.
So the 10 rings appear to be
irrelevant.
Possible Kang technology.
Right. Or irrelevant. But I think there's stuff... You think they're Kang technology?
I think they were meant to be. If you look at the kind of the glowy color around the edge, and then you look at some other Kang technology with the glowing around the edges of things, there's very similar design philosophy.
I think that might just be that there's a general design format that people stick to, where it's weird mystical orange glow on old objects equals ancient magical object.
Maybe.
I think that's more what's going on.
But then there could even be more about. So one potential theory is that a lot of mystical artifacts and things are actually relics from the previous cycle of the multiverse war. That's
okay.
so they don't necessarily have to be MacGuffins, but they can be like indicators.
Yeah, they're kind
to
of
a
like
wider-
signals of things that
So
have
like the
gone
10
on.
rings could be actually just simple engine parts.
What if 10 rings was originally one ring?
And it was,
But
it
then
was a tube.
But
the
then
tube.
the loop happened so many times
Oh.
that it became 10 rings.
Interesting. That's an idea.
See,
That's
see,
an idea.
that's why they hire me for writing.
Yeah, it is.
Kang. That's why they pay me the big bucks here.
Now we also have the Miss Marvel,
Bangles.
The bangles. Now
right.
these
Of
have
course.
the ability to time travel, as seen in Miss Marvel, which you've seen, obviously.
I've definitely seen Miss
Yeah.
Marvel at this point because I'm
And
hired by Marvel.
They
and I
have
would definitely...
they were able to create jump points that we saw in the Marvels.
Hold on.
Oh, there's somebody there's some arguing going on in the office in the other
It
room.
used to be bring your kids to work day
Yeah.
at Marvel.
Yeah, it's probably because everyone's freaking out about they're like,
yeah,
oh shit,
yeah,
morale's
they're
low,
like,
bring your kids in.
You know what will solve this problem?
Us
Bringing in
yeah.
our kids to work.
Well, I don't have any. I don't know in this universe. Maybe I do.
Maybe
I do.
I have kids.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. So the Bangles can do multiversal travel. They send
Right.
Monica Rambeau to the Fox universe in the end of the Marvels.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that from the movie.
Yeah. And the other thing, Doctor Strange incursions. Incursions are already happening. Doctor Strange has probably been looking into it, but we have no answer about where he is yet.
Like the time runs out
Yes.
comic series
Mm-hmm.
that we've both extensively read at this point. 'cause we're
Exactly.
both employed by.
Funnily
Marvel.
enough, I saw one on the on the shelf as I was walking in, and your name was attached to it. So you must have written it back in 2015
must
when you were
have
14
written
years
it.
old. Yeah. Maybe
when I
that's
was 14.
Yeah.
What kind of child prodigy am I in this Marvel
I don't know. It's scary, isn't it? It's scary to look at.
Oh no!
I don't even know who I am in this universe yet. I know I'm on the door, but anyway. And then finally we've got Loki at the end of time.
Right.
That's kind of he's currently the most powerful being.
You
I
seem
suspect.
to really be understanding this PowerPoint presentation despite having just found it
Maybe
on the table.
Well, to be fair, we don't know if Kevin wrote this or maybe the alternate version of me did.
Yeah. Oh, and then you're so in tune with your
'cause
alternate.
Maybe he's exactly the same as me.
version.
That would be kind of depressing as well.
That
I guess.
would be
that
pretty
I'm
depressing.
I'm the same in every universe.
I don't know if that's more or less depressing than the version of me that is somehow writes for Marvel Comics aged 14.
Yeah.
What does that say about this current version of me?
It's very scary.
It's all very terrifying. And
Yes,
that's
it
what
is.
this is all about,
It
really.
is. The
Multiverses.
fear of multiverses.
The fear of multiverses.
Now, this is the simple character lineup. I think.
Right.
I see.
You,
So
you skipped straight past whatever.
sorry, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of ignored.
So maybe I'm not as in tune with my
yeah,
my,
you
my
need to
alternate
read
self.
the presentation.
Yeah. So it says here, all the characters that are alive should be included.
Right.
Main heroes only. Side characters can be in the teams, but they're not like we don't have to have like them go through an arc.
Bring in Miami Falcon right now.
I mean, well,
Bring him in.
here it is. The Avengers lineup.
There needs to be an incursion event in Miami.
Sure, we can go
It's
there.
important.
All right, so we've got the Avengers lineup here. Would you like to read it?
Oh, so you did include the Falcon. Okay. So we got Captain America,
he did.
aka what's he called now?
Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson. And then we got Miami, Florida Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really get a name. And then we got Thor,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
He's called Thor.
Mhm.
Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
Right? Who is the...
Shuri.
It's Shuri now.
Yeah.
So it is still Shuri in this universe.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we got Ant-Man,
Mm-hmm.
aka Scott Lang.
Yep.
And then we got Shang-Chi.
Yep. Okay.
Big.
Solid Avengers team lineup, I reckon.
Right, yes, of course.
Aha. Now, the new Avengers.
So,
we just saw
so
this-
Thunderbolts has happened
Yeah.
in this universe. And
Yeah,
it's connected
it
to
seems
Kang.
so, yeah.
Ah.
So Thunderbolts, it seems to be the other team.
Mm.
My guess is that the movies have come out exactly the same, but it's just Kang Dynasty coming out next year.
I think this universe, it's called the New Avengers immediately.
What, the
And
movies?
there's no Thunderbolts.
Maybe. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
I'm not looking it up.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
We're not going to Google
So
anything in this world.
this team is made up of Bucky, Yelena,
If
Red
we-
Guardian,
if
Ghost,
we
John
even
Walker, and
dare
Sentry.
If we even dare to Google in this universe.
Yeah, that's
too
fucked up.
dangerous because we'll know too much. I think
and
we'll break the timeline.
Yeah, I think we've been given this presentation so that we don't have to Google anything.
We gotta, So
it's supposed to speed everything up, but who's to say?
Who's to say?
We're quite familiar. We just saw this movie.
Yeah, Bucky, Yelena, Red Guardian, Ghost, John Walker, Sentry.
Yeah,
AKA
Bob.
Love Bob.
Maybe
hate wife.
Yeah, maybe he'll be key to this or something. Who knows?
Sure.
The Fantastic Four. Now that's quite simple. Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Ben Grimm, Johnny Storm.
Yes,
standard.
Indeed.
Standard.
Bog standard.
The TVA.
Right.
Loki,
B-15, who's that nice lady who's also in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes, it is.
And then there's Sylvie, who is just female Loki.
Yes.
But also different, kind of. And then Mobius, who is the, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson. And then OB is...
Ouroboros.
Ouroboros.
Aurora Borealis.
In this time, is this...
Yeah, whatever. we get the gist.
Victor Timely.
And Victor Timely, the GOAT.
My GOAT.
Yes. I think
Ouroboros is my GOAT, to be honest.
I have a few ideas already, and I'd like to... I'll pitch some in a minute.
Yeah, you do that.
But, so here we have...
yes, the Illuminati from the other universe.
So, I think the thinking behind this...
Are they called the Illuminate in the comics?
It's Illuminati, but that's how it's spelled.
That's stupid, man.
Yeah. So, because it's like the secret society. So...
No, I get that, but why it's like...
It's spelled that way, yeah, I don't know.
But that says Illuminate.
It's Illuminati is spelled...
No, Illuminati is spelled with an I.
Yeah, maybe. Who's to say?
Me, I'm saying it. I'm saying it right now.
I think it's like French or whatever. Or maybe this Tom can't spell. Who's to say? Who's to say?
I actually don't know.
I don't know either. And we're not allowed to look it up.
I can't confirm or deny.
And we're not allowed to look it up, so we'll have to move swiftly on.
Bruce Banner.
But the thought process behind this team seems to be, other than adding Namor, Reed Richards, and Professor X, who've been added for comic reasons, I think the Bruce Banner, Doctor Strange, and Captain Marvel seems to be, and probably also
and
that includes
they're
Wong.
Not from the 616 universe?
Are they? I think the top four, so Bruce Banner, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, and Namor, are from the 616 universe.
Now, remind me.
And they've added Reed Richards and
in
Professor
the universe
X.
that we came from, right? At the end of Shang-Chi, they do this weird thing with Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner.
Yeah. So I'm thinking
that's what this is referring to.
I think yeah. So I think the idea behind whoever made this, is that they're using that concept of there's been some
I
people.
think we can assume that you made this.
Probably.
What do you think the other versions of us are doing right now? Are they in our universe?
Oh, that's probably depressing for them. I mean, probably great for them because they're like, oh, our lives are great. Back home,
then we're gonna be so miserable when we get out of this universe.
Yeah, we have to go back to pitching.
I wrote a comic when I was 14.
Yeah,
for a major.
I can't go back. Anyway, that's the end. That's everything. Now, I don't know what's going on there. So anyway, we can refer back to this. This is for team lineup and stuff. So I have a few ideas.
Right. Okay. What are your ideas?
Okay. So my first one is more of a I don't know where to. I've a scene. Actually, I've got multiple scenes
in your head
that are spread.
Almost like you thought about this.
Yeah. I mean, who hasn't thought about the road not travelled? You know.
Me, I haven't thought about this that much at all because I haven't had any reason to.
So back in the early stages of this presentation,
right.
We talk about the.
You're really in tune with this presentation.
We talk about the Kang's meeting.
Yeah, of course.
I think that the opening of this movie is that first scene with the Nathaniel Richards going and first meeting his first variant. We get to see that with the implication that the other one that he's meeting is the Kang with the scars down his face. So Kang has like the two lines under his eyes.
Right. Why him?
Because then you set up a dynamic of the
Which
good
one is he again?
So
the Kang with the scars on his face.
Kang with the scars on his face is Kang the Conqueror.
Oh, how do you remember that that's the Kang that has scars on his face? Because I don't even remember the scars.
Because I'm obsessed with the Kang stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So you mean Ant-Man Kang?
And Ant-Man. So
Kang.
I think
we're calling him Ant-Man Kang.
So I think that we have a scene where He Who Remains.
Yeah.
And Ant-Man Kang. Are
got nothing to fuck.
Are like best buddies. They're the first two to meet each other.
Right.
and they're like,
they're best of friends.
we can. Oh man, if we get on so
they're
well,
like, yo,
they're like
you're
Optimus
me.
Prime. Yeah,
yo, you're me.
Yeah.
And then they bro hug.
yeah. And the implication
And then they
being that
kill
like
each other,
that eventually, yes, they will have. Well, and that. So the idea that I have is that I want throughout the movie to cut away to flashbacks
Right.
to them, kind of like the flashbacks with Thanos a bit, but more of them and shorter.
Mm-hmm.
To see this relationship fall apart over time as
Indeed.
Kang the Conqueror begins to be disillusioned with the Council of Kangs, and He Who Remains being too slow on the uptick. We're feeding in the motivation.
How many movies is this? Is this one movie?
This is one movie. This is one movie.
So there's Kang Dynasty.
Yeah.
Because in our universe, they had a plan for Kang, right?
Yeah.
And then they dumped it.
Well. Remember, we're writing Kang Dynasty. There's going to be a follow-up Secret Wars to this movie, but we might not. But we're not on. But we're not on that movie. We're just writing.
So this is the version of Doomsday.
Yeah, that is
which
Kang
called
Dynasty.
Kang Dynasty.
Yes.
So this is kind of like Infinity War Round 2.
Yes.
Right.
So we have to build up to
A big
battle
Secret Wars.
to Battle World, which I think is quite easy to do.
Okay.
But
so I have one key thing
Mhm.
that is just a mechanical thing to talk about.
Yes.
We have mentioned that there are different factions
Yes.
at the start. Do you
Yes.
want to run through them again?
Absolutely. I've not mentioned the Kangs, but I'm going to put the Kangs as their own big faction.
Yeah.
But essentially, it is the Avengers, the New Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the TVA, and the Illuminati.
Right?
Yes.
I think the way that we do this is that we have all 5 of these little groups,
Mm-hmm.
and they each have to deal with their own individual Kang,
Mm-hmm.
and then the kind of, like in Ghostbusters, the streams cross.
Right.
Right?
Well, that was
so
the other.
it's kind of like 5 different mini stories within one contained story that slowly over the course of the movie start combining and combining and combining.
Well, I think we can simplify this a little bit. I think that the opening past the credits, so we have the flashback and stuff,
right? Yeah,
and the opening past the credits is is Kang's getting into the TVA, and we can kind of
that doesn't feel good
because we could then.
I feel like I don't think that's a good opening. Because we've already covered a lot of ground with TVA and Kang in the Loki season, right? I feel like you're going to have more of a bang at the beginning of the movie if you're covering ground with groups that haven't come into contact with Kang yet at the start, right? So the New Avengers versus Kang, or what I would prefer would be the Illuminati versus Kang, because I feel like that's a really good cold open situation for establishing the Illuminati.
Well,
they're not really how we know these characters if it's the comic Illuminati, right?
Yeah.
These are more desperate versions of who we have previously seen.
So potentially what we could do is talk about the Fantastic Four then. We
could. I would prefer the Illuminati, but I think it's interesting, especially with things like Namor. Right? You can be like, hang on, why is Namor chilling with Captain Marvel? How the fuck do these two know each other? And that's kind of where your brain is churning right from the start. It's like, what's going on with this dynamic? And then you throw Kang into the mix.
Yeah.
And then you chuck someone in, like you chuck the audience into a more familiar territory with the Avengers or the New Avengers or Fantastic Four, right? So you kind of do this little
maybe
get away from the comfort of home.
So maybe the opening then focuses kind of on the Illuminati has maybe already killed a few Kangs that have popped up. Or
is Kang essentially the replacement for Time Runs Out?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think the idea is whatever we want.
Right.
But I think you know how Thanos has his army of little minion people, or like in the first Avengers, you have the Chitauri, who are like those alien fuckers.
Yeah. Where Loki is.
Whereas with this, the Kangs are the army as well as like being led by the Immortus and those three. Those three don't have to be the most interesting because they're like should we try and work this movie perhaps from the back from the end first to figure out
Kang Dynasty,
to figure out where we're building towards, because we need to know what we're...
Yeah, we're going to throw it back. We're going to
throw it back normal style. All right.
Throw it back normal style.
All right.
Oh my god, there's an alternate universe version of Rue in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Who is... I don't know. I don't have a lot of... So you're going to have to just talk.
I do the accounting.
Oh God.
What?
That's fucked. That is
in
fucked
this
up.
universe, Rue has no creative passion at all.
Oh God.
Oh god. Anyway,
We have to get out of here.
Maybe to STEM.
yo, what the fuck?
Oh, an engineer. Good God, this can't be
This
right.
universe is horrible.
But they
still got Kang Dynasty. Though.
So maybe there's
maybe it's not all bad.
Maybe it's not all bad. Anyway, so so essentially,
Right.
I think if the end point is Battle World,
Okay.
I think
Or at least like
I think that
I would say so. This is a universe where Doom isn't the one who's creating Battle World.
no,
either.
it's Kang.
It's Kang.
Yeah.
So this is essentially a universe where Kang sees that everything is crumbling, kind of because of him.
Yeah.
And then he creates this whole new universe
Mhm.
to try and... that's a good way of doing this. So
Yes.
we're working from the back, right? If we're throwing it back...
You're throwing it back normal style.
normal style, right?
Yeah.
So we're essentially going, okay, Kang wants to stop the loop, the constant loop of him creating the TVA, which
Now,
then gets
when
Loki,
we're talking
which
about
then...
Kang, I do believe we should be referring to it as actual Kang the Conqueror. It doesn't have
Sure,
to be
but-
the one
but-
from... I think the one from Quantumania...
Let me finish my point before
yeah.
you go into a whole 15-minute conversation about Kang. All right. So where was I before?
That Kang is trying to stop the cycle.
So Kang is trying to stop the cycle by basically destroying all of the timelines completely. No Loki loops, nothing.
No. Yeah.
He creates a whole new universe, which is the Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Is it called
Battle World?
Battle World. That fucking
Worms Battlegrounds.
Fortnite Battle World.
Yeah, sure.
The
Battle Pass.
Fortnite. Yeah, he creates the Battle Pass.
Yeah.
And it's all restored. So that is the end point.
Mm-hmm.
That is the goal, right? That is our oh my god, everyone's turning into ash moment from Infinity War.
Yeah.
Is boom, everyone forgets who the fuck they are. People start waking up on Battleworld, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you start realizing how deep the amnesia is.
Yeah.
Right? That is our final point. Maybe we have like a fan favorite have absolutely no clue who someone else is.
Yeah.
Like Bucky and Sam both see each other and have no clue.
Like, yeah, just
right?
strangers.
Or like Bruce and Thor see each other.
I think
clue.
yeah. And maybe
Right?
they're not even like superpowered individual. They're just people. They're just civilians. Well, no, because you could have it that they're just civilians in their world and they're like them.
I can see Thor being an interesting civilian.
Yeah,
Because of the whole stuff in Secret Wars with
the Thor Corps, where he's just one of.
So if the Thor is just a guy,
if he thinks he's just one of many Thors,
yeah, that's
because with that Thors are basically
or
cops.
or if we literally just see that Thor having no clue about his heritage and then getting hired on by the Thor Corps, I think like he's just another grunt at Thor Corps Cop Academy.
See now how I said
Thor Corps Cop. Say that 5 times. Thor Corps Cop Academy.
Thor Corps Cop Academy.
Thor Corps Cop Academy.
Anyway, see now how I said we probably won't dwell too much on the Secret Wars thing.
We're doing. We've got to establish where.
Yeah. But anyway.
So that'll be that's where that's for becoming a cop.
And so I think that the main protagonists and antagonist of this has to be, I think, Kang and He Who Remains, which is interesting because it's the same guy. Oh,
so you think both the protag and the antag is Kang,
but different versions,
and then there's just an ensemble around.
It's like it's like seeing.
It's almost like Captain America Civil War.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way I'm seeing what you're I'm smelling what the Rock is stepping in or whatever the fuck it is. Or
that's probably what it sounds like in this world.
Are
you smelling what the Rock is stepping in?
Yeah, something like that.
Pooh!
Yeah. Is that typically I think that once the fighting is cleared and it's just He Who Remains and one last Kang left over, kind of like at the end of Age of Ultron,
like at the end of right.
Is that
or kind of at the end of Civil War, or kind of at the end of many things.
Is that He Who Remains is always the one that comes out on top and is like, the cycle has to continue, but I'm in charge now.
And then Kang the Conqueror does something drastic to stop this cycle because it's gone on so many times.
I think that this is the point where He Who Remains is just like, he's shown the cycle by maybe even by Loki, or he's talked to Loki, and he's like,
isn't He really cognizant of this loop?
He is normally, but we have to remember that that's him at the end of being. That's him at the end of having won for like billions of years.
Yeah, and he's had time to work
we'd be meeting a He Who Remains who is high off of the winning, or he's about to win, and is then perhaps given knowledge or whatever by Loki.
So Loki has. I like the idea that Loki has begrudgingly teamed up with Kang the Conqueror because he already knows about how He Who Remains does his loop every single time because of the events of Loki. And then because of this, while He Who Remains is like relishing in this victory, Loki just blurts out like, I have seen this so many times.
Yeah,
you like this will not bring you joy.
It's almost the reflection.
So it's kind of like a massive come down immediately from like an absolute high of basically killing.
And it's also like
the
inverse of the Kang and Loki meeting in Loki season 1.
Yeah, it's kind of I have all the cards.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
It's the flip.
Yeah.
So that's how we do that, I feel. So this
even with the fact that there were 2 Lokis in that and 1 He Who Remains, and with this there's 2 Kangs and 1 Loki at the end as well. Of like Loki, like the end of the movie is almost.
So there's still Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, so I think the end of the
movie. So
movie,
Kang the Conqueror is basically defeated,
not dead
but
yet.
Not dead.
I think
He Who Remains is there.
I think that like we get to kind of that. This would be like a kind of end of third act fight scene between them 2 once everyone else is defeated or wiped out or whatever as awful has happened, and we can kill off people here.
Especially because the universe is literally resetting.
And I think that we'll see snippets of Loki maybe reacting to certain events, especially when characters die, like just cutting over to him.
Yeah.
And the kind of indecision of whether or not he should let go of his duties and step in, only for him to finally step in at the last minute when there's only 2 of them left. And he's
is Kang the Conqueror the more likely one to be killing all of these characters off? And so Loki is kind of
I think they're both brutal. I think what we saw with He Who Remains is a man who's been weathered down by victory and has become peaceful in having won and been the victor for
so he's
millions
of
years.
He's the less cold-blooded version of himself.
But like when he won, you have to assume that he was probably the most ruthless
in it,
of them all. And this is and
I want to see a Kang decimate a Hulk.
I think absolutely.
I think that is a scene.
So
I think we want to see a Kang decimate a Hulk through sheer attrition, where it is just so many Kangs that it is literally the most objectively powerful being in the universe in Marvel is kind of just beaten to
when you think about it, the Kang army is basically like, what if you had infinite Iron Mans and just sent them at someone? You would lose.
It is literally like the one man versus 100 one gorilla.
One man versus 100 gorillas. Hey guys, I don't think this matchup's fair.
I can do this all day.
Okay, so should we now? So now we have our end point our North Star to guide us towards the end of our movie.
We go back to the beginning.
We'll go back to the beginning.
We throw it back.
To
the front.
Throw it forward.
We throw it. We flip it.
Weird style.
Yeah. Sunny side.
Meaningless. Okay, so I think that's really helped us with like having a goal in mind.
Right.
So how do we open? So obviously, and so do you still like the idea?
So I still like the idea. That
do you still like the idea of the relationship build up?
That gives your initial idea of the relationship build up actual purpose.
Yeah.
Because you have friends to enemies to meaningless. You have the real arc there,
and in that you can see that like the cycle has been. You should be. I think in this movie
really
as well.
What's fun about this dynamic is you're essentially fleshing out one character through two characters. Through their dynamic of like, so you're literally getting to know a character by seeing two characters getting to know each other.
Exactly.
With zero outside interference.
And because it's a movie that can have time travel and can have the non-linear nature of the editing of the movie can work because these events are all simultaneously happening and not happening and
Hear me out. So the Russo brothers downstairs, right? They've said that they
they're
make...
over in
they're in the studio. They've said that they want to make in our world, they've said that they want to make Doomsday for TikTok.
That actually wasn't true.
Fine, right?
That was made up by
that rumor has given me an idea, right?
Yeah.
That rumor has given me an idea.
God damn it!
Which is if we're going for non-linear, why don't we just do split screen on this motherfucker? We put Geometry Dash in the corner, right?
No,
so it's like three different. It's like three different screens, all at once, showing different bits of information to you. Plus Temple Run, plus Geometry Dash, plus what's the one on the trains? What's the one on the trains? Subway Surfer.
Okay,
thank you.
While that is genuinely stupid. You've inspired an idea in me.
Oh God!
Which is that?
God! It was a joke.
Which is that I think I can now. I don't know where this will be placed at all.
Right.
But I can see a shot where you do split screen on different Kangs. Now hold on. Where the screen divides and you get like, so you start with like one cat and then you divide it to two and you see what they're doing, and then it divides into four and it keeps going until eventually they're all just. Each of them is a pixel wide.
It's kind of like when you have a projection and you have like the diffusion of frames.
Yeah. And
then it's like these frames eventually merge into one thing that's a moving image.
Yeah, and it moves back into a one singular Kang.
Kind of like Fight Club.
That
one shot in Fight Club where it's and then he merges back into one.
Yes.
Because they're doing the whole
But I'm talking more about you subdivide the screen into infinity.
It's the same
idea.
Like, it's the same kinetic effect, but not the same literal effect.
And just to show how infinite Kang is. I think what it would be is that in the build up to the final push of like the war where the Kangs finally do a all out assault on the Avengers or whatever, would be seeing the Kangs prep. And it subdivide like seeing them like assembling or whatever, and the screen subdivides.
Sorry, my brain went to the other definition of prep, and it was quite funny.
Okay. And you see the screen subdivide and stuff until like you see just like the how infinite of it, like the Kangs are all kind of like spawning through a portal.
Yeah.
And you just pull back and you see that the line of Kangs getting ready to go through the portal is so infinitely long that like it's
nothing is going to happen.
It's like
you are going to die.
Yeah, nothing happens, and you're.
I've had one idea for the beginning. So we have that shot with Kang the Conqueror and He Who Remains, right?
Yeah.
I think that should be set in the place where the Aloth or whatever the fuck it is, Alioth lives. So that place where there is no time. I feel like that was their original meeting point, almost in my head. It almost feels because in my head, it's interesting thematically to me, but also it's a really good visual if you set up that place before there was any junk in it, and it's almost like this no man's land that looks like a western where it's two characters like meeting for the first time.
I was a bit resistant to it, but actually,
yes.
If we can have it that the castle that He Who Remains is living, that they like build the kind of mansion that he lives in.
That's like the only thing that's there.
No, I was going to say that's what his original, like laboratory looks like. That's the building But in
so we're seeing him make the device to travel there to that
very
place.
brief.
Briefly, yeah.
We see like his office that he goes in,
and the office layout just
and he
happens
steps
to match
out,
the Loki season
and
1.
then he meets his other version of him, and because I think in Loki season 2, if I'm not mistaken, they kind of imply there's a shot where they're in the void, and the camera pans down, and you see the TVA. You see a piece of like what is the floor of the TVA with the logo on it,
right
under the grass of the void.
Oh,
So, and I think the implication is that the void is what comes after the TVA collapses.
okay,
At some like the
intriguing.
because it's outside of time, and so is the TVA.
Right,
That they are
so they're
eventually
almost
the same
two
place,
spaces
but
that are
like
basically the same
billions of years apart.
place. Okay, interesting.
But like that's something much to think about.
Much to think about.
Yeah,
I like the visual more.
yeah. But
Therefore, we will. What?
because the void is, I think, what we will use as Battle World as well. I think that's probably what they're building.
That's
towards.
like the building blocks.
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, the void is essentially, if you remove all other universes from existence, the void remains as the most neutral location that exists.
Yeah.
And
so if you had to rebuild
everything would come from there first.
Yeah.
It's the foundations of the universe.
It's almost kind of like reminiscent of the Tony Stark built this in the cave with a bunch of scraps.
Mm.
You're building the universe with a bunch of scraps. Oh, my brain was going to say something stupid.
Yeah, I think it did, but
no, something far worse. I was just going to say Fortnite Battle Pass.
Okay,
that was it. It was like at the end of the universe, Fortnite Battle Pass.
All right, now can we now get to the beginning of the movie, please?
We did. That is the beginning of the movie.
Oh no, that's the beginning scene, and then you get the Marvel
I think
credits.
we get to the Illuminati
Because we.
I don't think we get to the opening credits that fast.
No, not the open. No, the Marvel. So I think it's like
before you even get to the
so I think the Kang stuff is the cold open.
Then you have
and then you get
Marvel,
that shit.
And then you go boom. Are you looking for this? Straight into the Illuminati.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And then the Illuminati seem to be on a mission because they see that time like the multiverse is crumbling because of all the Kang stuff, and they're getting worked up about it. Boom! One of the Kangs.
And I think the implication should always be that the Illuminati have known about this threat coming pretty much since Endgame. They've been like gearing up for it since then.
Do you know what?
And they've been keeping certain characters out of the loop.
Yeah, like how the Illuminati work in the comics. But do you know what I think should be happening, like flow wise throughout this entire film? We should do the Kang cold open.
Yeah.
We do the Loki ending.
Mm-hmm.
The entire thing should be one long fight sequence where it's originally how many factions are there? There's Illuminati, TVA, Fantastic Four, New Avengers, Young Avengers, New Avengers, Regular Avengers, right?
Yeah.
I think we make the TVA kind of irrelevant and start spreading them out into the different groups.
Well, that was...
there's a reason.
Let
me finish. So, we then have 4 groups, essentially, that are constantly fighting with different Kangs.
Yeah.
And then each 2 group turns into one group.
Each. And they mix, they're getting merged.
So it's kind of like the multiverse is dying in real time through the movie. Boom, 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 getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it's just one final battle. And then that's where the 2 Kangs have their final showdown.
Okay.
So people are being involved in the mess of all of this without realizing it, and they're having to panic and quickly jump into different multiverses to kind of like keep momentum of this fight.
They
don't even have time to process, oh, my universe has just been destroyed. And now I am in this new battle zone. I have an idea. Now I'm in here, now I'm in here, now I'm in here. Right?
I have an idea. I think because Ant-Man has already met one Kang, he's going to be the person who, in the Avengers group, is going to be like...
knows what's up.
Hey, I know what the fuck is going on.
Despite the fact that it's Ant-Man.
Yeah.
As well, which is going to be extra funny. Yeah. So it's going to be Ant-Man being like, we should really take this seriously. And then there's
Yeah.
just like Sam being like, why?
I think
It's just a guy. And then it's like, it's not just a guy.
I think that one of the side plots is Ant-Man realizing like, oh, like shit, we are going to lose.
Yeah.
And that other Kang that I met was right.
Mm-hmm.
And that they are unstoppable. And
Yeah.
I think it will be him that very briefly.
He's probably the only one that's allowed a minute to think about that. Because everyone else is probably going to be fighting for their lives the entire time.
I think that the way that we get to the big two fighting at the end of the movie is that Ant-Man has to go down into the quantum realm and go and get the Kang that he met originally and like pull him back up he has to free the Kang that he had.
So he essentially creates the final showdown, so that original Kang is not there, so it's just he who remains, who's causing havoc, which is causing all of these timelines to collapse in on themselves.
Yeah.
And then it's just, we need to solve this problem, like, we need to solve the problem of Kang with another Kang. So you have the Ant-Man B plot where he's grabbing the other Kang, and then you have the A plot of the universe is crumbling around you. Because you can definitely still do that, because the quantum realm is connected
kind of outside
to all of the multiverses
yeah.
anyway. So you can essentially have, you can have quantum realm all,
and because it's outside of time, he can go down and reappear, and no time has essentially passed. Kind of. Like time is weird with the quantum realm anyway, so it doesn't, like, we don't have to think about it as like.
I would say, for the sake of keeping flow,
maybe don't.
We break it and we make it that it's all in real time.
I think Ant-Man going down to the quantum realm should feel like Thor going to the Forge.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So this is the equivalent.
But the weapon is another fucking Kang
instead of making the axe to try and break Thanos at the last moment, which then fails.
Yeah.
You're getting Kang.
Yeah.
And then Kang fails at the last moment. And then you have Loki, which... So there would be no Thanos snap equivalent until Loki says, we've done this. It's getting boring now. Yeah. Bang, new Secret Wars.
I also think that... so do you think it should be that, for the sake of simplicity, He Who Remains is leading the Kangs?
Yes, but I think that we should play around with the fact that we have so many Kangs.
Well,
right?
I was going to say that I think that throughout the movie, the Kangs are appearing, and we don't ever see the other side of the portal that they keep coming from until very near the end. And
there's a beat where we feel like there's some hope, and then it's
also throughout the flashbacks, we see things like old Kang the Conqueror getting exiled, from that perspective, and the end credit scene from Quantumania, which was all of the like millions of Kang showing up at that big stadium. But I think that the it's not the twist, but like the turning point of those flashbacks is that He Who Remains, or whatever, kills the three incompetent leaders of the Kangs.
I completely disagree, for the reasons that I was going to go up with later. I think it's fun to play around with these two leaders, because we need different Kangs for that initial ensemble group up. You need different flavors of Kang so that the audience can keep track and go, which place are we in? Oh, we're in the place with the Fantastic Four and Centurion. Oh, which place are we in right now? Oh, we're in the place with Rama Tut and the new Avengers. So playing around with how many variations of Kang is how we allow the audience to keep track in a visual medium of where the fuck we are if we're cutting around this much. Yeah. Right? Well, we got to give people...
Well, then what we could do is we could treat the three head Kangs, so Immortus, Centurion, and Rama Tut, their sub-Kangs, their armies have outfits that are themed on... that aren't the same, but are themed on their outfit.
Sure.
So, like, the people that work... the Kangs that work for Rama Tut have Egyptian-inspired kind of armor. The Centurion ones have more cybernetic, and then the Immortus ones are more kind of Ottoman Empire, I assume, or like Persian or whatever that is.
The way I see it, if we're thinking vague organizational structure for this, you have He Who Remains as kind of like the Japanese emperor, right? And then these are shoguns.
Oh, so they're...
And then you have samurai underneath.
Oh, so these guys actually work under him.
They work under He Who Remains.
Yeah.
And He Who Remains is getting them all to kind of play themselves and play with the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the new Avengers, etc. And slowly but surely, all of these groups are falling into one distinct final universe, because we're not only playing with Kang Dynasty, we are playing with
Quantumania.
No.
Sequels afterwards.
No, not what I'm saying. Time Runs Out.
Time Runs Out. Yeah,
so
we
are combining the stories of Time Runs Out and the idea of like the multiverse literally crumbling as indicated through Loki and the and like Kang itself, right? So you need these ways to get the audience to go, okay, right, so I'm in the middle of this fight scene, but now I'm in the middle of this fight scene, but now I'm in the middle of this fight scene.
Yeah.
How the fuck do I keep track? Yeah. Oh, that one's wearing the mummy costume. Okay, right.
Yeah.
I'm locked in.
And they would probably, and I mean, I assume they would also do the same thing they did with Infinity War, where they use the color grade to denote location.
Exactly.
Yeah, and things.
Like, the basic things of like,
hey, this place is all blue.
When you're on Earth, you're at Wakanda, right? And Wakanda is a grassland. And when you're in space, you're seeing the red fucking sky around you, right? Basic things like that. Where it's like, okay.
Part of the reason why I originally was thinking about getting rid of the TVA early on, is that they are a very fucking powerful organization, and cutting them off of the board early means that you don't have to be wondering about why aren't the TVA intervening at all points.
Yeah, okay, so
and
I think we scrap the Illuminati thing that I was suggesting, and we do it with the TVA, as you mentioned, but that is essentially, so we're not killing these guys off.
No, we're scattering
killing a couple of them. We are scattering
them
through
that's what I think,
is
that like, I think the TVA gets overrun in the opening, and me personally, you send Victor Timely to find the Illuminati, or to find...
Victor Timely would be interesting with the Illuminati, because you've got characters that you're used to being quite friendly, being quite cold and calculative, and then you've got Victor Timely who
is the most friendly
the guy
version.
that looks like the enemy, being the most friendly version. The way I would do it with that dynamic, if Victor Timely is trying to find the Illuminati, is that he finds the Illuminati, they immediately capture him as a prisoner of war because they just assume that he's fucking with the Kang. And then they, like, that's the dynamic from now on.
The fun of the Illuminati is that it's watching the heroes you like do the most
heinous shit.
Like...
for completely justifiable reasons as well, because it's... Oh, right. If we
like
don't
Guantanamo
do the things
Bay,
that we have to do...
They're essentially Guantanamo Bay, like, in terms of, like, just torturing prisoners to get them.
Because they do that with the, that lady, right? The lady that's kind of in Doom's...
Yeah, the religion that Doom creates. And
that.
So, I think you can do stuff like that. I mean, we could even... I mean, I'd be happy enough to kill Sylvie and Mobius.
B-15...
It can die. Probably.
B-15 can probably die because she's mainly useful in Loki.
Yeah.
Narratively speaking.
Well, she's
I feel like her actress is also very good on screen in a way where she could, like, especially because I've now seen Sinners.
Yes.
Spoilers for Sinners. She dies. It's a very good scene. Right? So I feel like she could definitely give a little, like, there would definitely be some people in the crowd being like, I don't care about this person, I don't watch the TV or whatever.
Yeah.
But there could definitely be Loki fans that go, oh, fuck, she just died. Okay, moving on. I would also maybe say we kill Sylvie, and that becomes more of a catalyst for why someone like Loki might say, okay, this time I'm going to side with He Who Remains. Yeah. So
side with Kang, you mean?
Yeah, well, specifically the He Who Remains Kang.
No, he's not.
Oh, no, sorry, the
yeah.
Right. So... that would be, so Loki sees Sylvie die.
Yeah.
Right? So someone
from
who has
his
been a
vantage
continuous catalyst for him in the Loki series, dead.
Yeah.
And Mobius probably sees his long-term colleague, B-15, die. OB, I don't know how much narrative use he has, but he could be interesting with the Fantastic Four. I can see a lot of scenes where it's OB and Reed Richards trying to talk, and they go full maths mode.
Yeah.
and then confuse everyone else around them.
Okay, so the way that I see it...
Yeah.
Also, how many other universes do we want to include?
What do you mean?
So, we've got the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
We've got the main universe.
I would say keep it simple. So I would say that we technically have... So one, I structurally wouldn't think about it in terms of universe in that way.
No.
I would think about it more in terms of groups.
Yeah.
But we essentially have the Avengers and the New Avengers. That is one multiverse.
Yeah.
You then have the Fantastic Four. That is another universe. The TVA technically counts as a different universe, even though it is outside of all of this, right? And then you have the Illuminati. So you essentially have 3.
So...
But you have...
Do we want any Fox X-Men...
I would say... Okay, if there has to be one, it should be that.
Rather than like the Spider-Man...
No for the Spider-Man. No,
none of that. None of that.
Okay, so let's say... Oh... Okay, my only problem with the X-Men is that the New Avengers and regular Avengers are a good group in of themselves. So unless we have a scene kind of like how the on-Earth team and the out-of-Earth team in Infinity War kind of team up, and there's a bit of a slow, not a dull moment, but a slower moment at the beginning, you kind of have a Sam Wilson and Bucky kind of go, okay, right, enough of the silly beef that we have right now, kind of like how Iron Man and Captain America had the enough of the silly Civil War beef right now, let's try and deal with the existential threat. So they quickly team up, and New Avengers and Avengers,
which I think is
Avengers.
Most likely anyway.
Right, okay, so that is one group. You have Avengers, then you have Fantastic Four, then you have TVA, then you have Illuminati, then you have X-Men. So if you remove the TVA, that is 4, and then 4 will turn into 2, and then 2 will turn into 1.
Yeah.
Right, okay?
So... I think that we use the Illuminati as our way of reaching out to the other universes, which is why I seem to have put Professor X on there as a potential.
Yes.
So that you could have the Illuminati is kind of like is the group chat of the people who have figured out that there is a problem going on
across multiverses,
across the different universes, and have had to keep it
right.
fucking quiet.
So this Bruce Banner and this Doctor Strange and this Captain Marvel, and even maybe this, I would say that Namor is a Fantastic Four Namor, and that these are all people from different multiverses who basically have the group DM. Where it's like the private group DM across the multiverse is these guys, and so you have. I think especially because Namor, but in the Fantastic Four universe, would be interesting because we have a very tailored towards Wakanda narrative Namor in 616.
Yeah.
And then in the comics, Namor is usually a common antagonist
of the Fantastic
Four in the same way that he's like, for some reason, Namor and Doctor Doom are just obsessed with Sue Storm in ways that are actually like unnormal.
Yeah.
Like sheer grossless behavior.
Yeah.
Is it Latveria?
Latveria, yeah.
Latveria,
and then,
no grass.
Yeah.
The ocean, no grass.
Yeah.
Both of them need grass.
Yeah.
Right?
So I wonder whether you use the Illuminati as kind of your to show the wider context of what's going on. Members of the Illuminati are getting knocked off as their universes are getting destroyed. Would be my way of looking at it. Is that they're more of a they're more of a
that because I'm of the subscription of people of all universes are crushing into so it's basically just the 2 least useful in the plot universes go each time. So you have 4, then you have 2, then you have 1.
Yeah.
Right. So it's less that they die before the multiverse combines.
Yeah.
And it's more that they're the way of connecting these 2 plots, and then suddenly they're meeting one another. And now, because this is now a larger group that is combined together, we have more of a narrative accessibility to just start killing them off.
Okay.
You need these connections to keep the flow.
Yeah.
While there's still 4 universes in play.
Yeah.
Right? And then, once one crushes, you can kill off a Professor X. Once another crushes, you can kill off a Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah.
So on and so on.
So
I would say maybe we play with the fact that Doctor Strange is in the Illuminati and very conscious of everything.
Well,
And
my assumption would be
so
that
Loki, the way I would do it based on the comics, we have Molecule Man and Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom creating Battleworld, right? I would have it that it is Loki, Doctor Strange, and Kang creating Battleworld. So it's Loki giving this He Who Remains Kang the reality check. I have the cards now.
Not He Who Remains, but yeah.
Well, at the end, it is He Who Remains.
No, because I think he gives it to the other.
No. So he's on the side of Kang the evil, the Ant-Man Kang, right? But at the end, as discussed before,
No. I think okay, right.
Well, that was what we previously were working on.
I think that at the end, usually He Who Remains wins.
Yeah.
So something has to change this time. And that's why it's That's why they give Kang.
If you remember what we had said,
right?
We said that He Who Remains wins, and he has that massive high of winning.
Yeah,
and then Loki gives him the reality check.
Yeah,
so that is what causes this new freeway alliance of those three. So he should still win, and it should be a nothing happens if you do this. You realize this moment. Yeah, so it becomes villain turns into almost a pragmatist. Right?
So it's
that's what it is. We're not having Ant-Man Kang win. Okay. We're having He Who Remains Kang win. He Who Remains Kang kind of falls off from this massive high that he's been riding the whole time to the reality check from Loki. Loki, having had Sylvie get killed early on, has gone through his own kind of correction path, and Doctor Strange has probably gone through his own correction path. I think they're all becoming these bitter pragmatists that make the battle world that we see in
I think if anything, what it is that like he who Remains Kang should feel like the most powerful Kang variant there is. Yeah. Where he has developed technology that he has kept from the others. Yeah. Solely to make sure that he has like the time stopping ability and all that stuff. But then when Loki appears and he's like, just one more person in front of me for me to kill before I win, and gets his fucking ass handed to him by Loki, who's like who's not trying to kill him, but just shutting him down.
I don't see a reason to do it in the action sequence. I really see this as a dialogue moment. Like there's no real reason why we should have Loki be that powerful in that way. It just doesn't feel right. Loki is a wordsmith. Always. At the end of the day, narratively speaking, he is that kind of person who would win by saying there was no point to everything that you did. Especially because we're talking about Kang. The thing that drives Kang is ego, deep down. Especially if you are the most powerful Kang, you are riding the high of ego throughout this entire thing, and this one fucker has basically killed your entire vibe in seconds. That is far more powerful than any narrative action sequence. But
I think you still need something there, because there's no reason why that Kang works. No. But there's no reason why that Kang wouldn't immediately just try and kill Loki.
Yes, there is.
Kill Loki.
Yes, there is. There is a really easy reason why he wouldn't kill Loki. He doesn't have to. He's one. So he's just one. Yeah. He doesn't have to go and kill Loki. He can maybe say, "Can you shut up now?" Loki keeps going. The truth is getting to him. He starts getting upset. He then becomes a pragmatist. That's way more powerful than any action sequence you can get. Right? And it also gives the building blocks for Secret Wars. So, boom. That. Yeah. Right? So we're keeping that from what we were saying earlier.
So what is He Who Remains' original plan? So his plan is to wipe out the multiverse. And he's using...
His plan is his usual plan if he tries to wipe out all the other Kangs.
And so I would assume that he is using the Kang. He's basically So I think that deep down, the plan that he doesn't tell the other Kangs about is that he's essentially throwing them at universes, and whether that universe gets destroyed or the Kangs will die off is a victory to him.
It's a win-win either way for him. Yeah.
And all he's trying to do is win the war of attrition by removing universes, almost like sending termites to eat a house. Yeah. He's like sending infinite of them there. Yeah. And then moving on. So the Kangs themselves need a separate motive that they think they're doing. So I think that he's driving the idea of conquering the multiverse.
He's trying to give the idea of glorious purpose to all of these different.
Meanwhile, and even I think even the underling Kangs, your Immortus Centurion and Rama Tut, I think they're true believers in the conquering. Yeah. universes thing, and
but I think also the way that you're playing with this is that during all of these battle sequences where you're showing Centurion and you're showing Ramatut as the closer to home adversaries for these Fantastic Four and Avengers groups, is you're also establishing the wider character of He Who Remains as an ego, like a massive egotist person, right? Through showing that Centurion is deep down an ego,
and
maniac,
they're all
that Ramatut is deep down an egomaniac, and they all have their own little mini machinations and in games, right?
To mention Transformers, it's like if you had a hive of Starscreams about,
that are where they're all maliciously trying to like they all want to have the last word,
and they all want to be the guy on top.
But at the end of it all, He Who Remains will be the winner.
Yeah,
right, and he is the guy who is in control, and everyone knows it in terms of Kangs, but they don't like it.
Okay,
right, and so you're how we were talking about the intro where we're establishing one Kang narrative through two Kangs, where we're essentially having someone literally talking to themselves to learn more about the character. We are showing that through these fight sequences, so we're getting the momentum, we're getting an Infinity War, oh my god, stuff is happening feeling. But we're also drip feeding in, oh, who is Kang? Oh, right, that's who Kang is. Because we don't know that much about Kang right now anyway, because we have what? Ant-Man and Loki. These are our two main connections to
and they
Kang
have never,
prior.
and they don't talk to each other, so they
All
can't share information.
Is that Kang is a little bitch, right?
Yeah.
And now we are learning just how like broken Kang is fundamentally in terms of ego. And how much that counters his entire bit, which is that he can. There are so many versions of him,
and it makes him feel. The important thing is that it makes him feel distinct from Thanos, who is one very, very powerful individual, as opposed to Kang being like, essentially like a ton of Iron Mans.
This is the difference between Thanos and Kang, is that Kang is an all powerful duplicate individual, who at the end of the day is a massive egotist who will crumble the universe itself to win. Thanos is an all-powerful singular being who
with a purpose,
is trying to practically solve problems for the universe itself in his own twisted way. So you have one person who is driven purely by ego and one person who is driven purely by their own warped sense of justice. Right? This is the key difference between Kang and Thanos. And so the way that we're establishing Thanos in Infinity War and in Endgame by seeing the places that he's been to and why he's doing these things, and we're seeing Titan and we're seeing all of this stuff, right? You are getting the same treatment out of seeing all of these different versions of Kang who deep down kind of represent the final Kang, who then becomes the one that makes this battle world, right? That is what you're doing through this narrative structure.
All right.
That was a lot of words. Holy fuck.
Let's do some of the easier stuff.
Right. X-Men. Who the X-Men fight?
One of the Kang.
Which one of the Kang, though? We've got to get 4 Kangs. We've got to get 4 major Kangs.
So I think that we have...
So we've got Centurion, we've got Ramatut.
And then I think we have a version who is kind of similar to a Kang the Conqueror, but is not the same as the one from Quantumania. Maybe an inverted colours version or whatever.
Can you see different Kangs in the comics?
There are loads, but like to the point where
like some big ones.
Those are the big ones.
No, but like more big ones.
Even though we're not supposed to be looking stuff up.
Well, we can break the multiverse a little bit.
Yeah. So
as a treat.
So typically it's those 3. Here we go.
We can just make some up at this point.
Essentially, it's the only other one that I can think of is like there's a businessman Kang.
What? Perfect. We're putting him in. That's funny.
All right.
We just need easily definable ones.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like visually.
So maybe okay. So my thought process is then because they've all got technology and Kang's from the 31st century,
right?
I think you do a business.
There's PowerPoint's behind.
Oh yeah. Thank you. I think you do a businessman Kang that is wearing his clothing is made of future tech kind. His suit that is a business suit is still as powerful as
He kind of gives off a
Kang
Tony Stark having
Yeah,
made a new
yeah.
solution kind of idea
a guy who feels like a Tony Stark
of the future.
type
Yeah.
from the future. Yeah.
So we have him, and then we have Immortus, and then we have Centurion, and then we have Ramatut.
Yeah.
And these are our 4 adversaries who all work
For He Who
for
Remains.
He Who Remains.
And He Who Remains
kind of is bouncing around all these different universes.
And I think He Who Remains is terrifying because the rest of them all wear tech-based stuff.
And then he's just
and He Who
chilling
Remains
in
is
his
just chilling in robes and shit.
Yeah, looking like a fucking wizard.
Because he's got
Looking
that
like Merlin.
He's got that special time pad thing that can just stop time that the others don't have access to.
I think that's how we do it. So he's just aimlessly wandering around all 4 of these universes and essentially going, I'm going to crush these 2 together.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, he essentially goes, and stop. And halfway through this massive battle sequence, he is just frozen time. And all of these protagonists, all like the Fantastic Four and everything, are just kind of looking around in pure fear while frozen in place.
I think we could...
As he's just chatting shit about destroying 2 universes.
But I think we could also show...
He may just even like kill someone on the spot who can't do anything.
I think we could also do stuff that's interesting with him where, like, for the first half of the movie, we see what that technology looks like from an outside perspective, where he's just like the heroes or something are making plans, and there's a shot where he's just listening in the background, and then like when it cuts back over to it, he's gone.
Yeah,
and you're like, what the fuck was that?
Well, it's only if you're really like
paying attention.
Really
Is it like, hold on, there's an extra person in this room?
Yeah.
What is? And it's just and you just show that like, or like if they can corner him, and then like in the shot reverse shot, when there's dialogue and stuff, he just disappears from it, and that shows that like that's his ability of like stopping time.
It's also it's good on a narrative level because it's just this is just how omnipotent this fucker is.
Yeah,
that he can just be there, gone.
Yeah. And it doesn't...
Between shots. Like, where were we? So 4... Okay. At its core, though, 4 groups, 2 groups, 1 group. 4 Kangs. Which Kang to what group? So we got the combined Avengers, we got the Fantastic Four, we've got the X-Men, and we got...
Right. I think TVA, I think for the X-Men...
Yeah.
We send Ramatut in.
That's funny, yeah.
The X-Men already have
Especially
Apocalypse.
Because they think Apocalypse, and then...
So he looks like an Apocalypse type anyway.
Yeah.
I think we send him in. Mm-hmm. For the Fantastic Four... Is it Fantastic Four? Yeah. I think we send in Immortus.
Yeah, I quite like that.
He's more...
Especially because he kind of gives a little bit more to the camp. Yeah.
And then I think for the main Avengers, we send in Centurion.
Okay.
And then the who was the TVA and
TVA.
I think was Businessman.
Businessman makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the TVA is probably the first to crumble on screen. That then
should we start jotting stuff down?
I'm not going to be tracking that at this point. We're so in head.
Yeah.
Right. So
TVA is the first.
TVA
kind of
is essentially the first to fall. That then turns into 1. So when the TVA get destroyed, they kind of spread around, but it's kind of these are now 2 Kangs in. I would say TVA crashes into our normal 616 universe, so you have the Avengers suddenly reuniting with a very devastated Loki from Sylvie being killed.
No, you see, I would say
put Loki in there.
So
it makes more sense because they're going to know.
Okay, so you're saying that at the beginning Loki steps away from his throne to go and help the TVA.
Yeah, TVA is literally breaking down. Loki breaks out of his usual position as like the guardian of time or whatever. He sees Sylvie die in front of him, so he's so omnipotent for so long, and then he sees like his whole crux of why he's been doing everything that he's been doing in his 2 seasons die before him, and then he gets sent Infinity War, he loses so hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then he gets sent to the Avengers world.
Maybe when Sylvie dies, which lets him step in,
right?
And him being so worried about losing more friends, immediately just
spreads
them across, like,
and then that's why you get OB in the Fantastic Four world. I reckon you also see B-15 die in front of Owen Wilson. What's he called? Mobius.
Mobius, yeah.
Right. And then Mobius gets put in the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
So Mobius in X-Men universe, OB in Fantastic Four universe, and Loki in main
Loki
timeline.
and Victor Timely, I think. I think Victor Timely's also there, and then he gets
Victor
captured.
Timely's in the Illuminati.
Yeah, but I think he's in the 616 universe and gets captured by the Illuminati.
Right, so they're in two different places in the 616,
yeah.
and then Victor Timely gets put in the Illuminati part of this. So you have Avengers with Loki, Illuminati with Timely, OB with Fantastic Four and Reed Richards, and then you have Mobius with the X-Men.
Yeah.
And then the next to crumble would be
the X-Men. I think the X-Men are the...
I think the X-Men crumble into the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And so then you get those groups reunited, especially because it means that by the time that those universes then crumble into the other, the characters that are kind of
left over
new to 616 have established a kind of consensus with one another and have become adjusted to themselves. So the familiar characters that we know each other, and then the non-familiar characters know themselves, and then those new two universes crumble again.
Actually, maybe it makes more sense for the Fantastic Four to crumble first, just because there's literally only four of them.
Whatever. So X-Men and Fantastic Four become
one group,
right?
Yeah.
So however that is irrelevant, but it's just that they combine, right? And then that also means that you have OB and Mobius. Sorry, not Morbius.
Yeah.
That would be... Oh, God. You have OB and Mobius reuniting, both going, what the fuck is going on? And then you have Loki essentially on his own, knowing full well what's going on.
Yeah.
And intentionally keeping people in the dark, who he has known for a while.
Well, the Avengers probably don't trust him.
Yeah, they don't trust him, but they're also like, why are you so different from what you were like before?
Yeah.
And also, you're clearly keeping something from us, but for once it looks like you're doing it for a non-malicious purpose. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then, boom, are you looking for this?
Yeah.
And then they crumble, and then we got those two universes. As in, we probably get some, and we've got combined Fantastic Four X-Men.
You probably get some Loki and Thor finally... meeting each other again.
I think Thor is probably the one that realizes that Loki is
something different.
Loki is doing something, and that it's not
a bit.
It's not a bit for once.
Yeah,
and that he actually seems quite distraught, and he's also just not explaining. Like the Loki at the beginning of season 1 of Loki would have loved to relay all of this shit to Thor about what's going on with him in the TVA.
Yeah,
this Loki now
has
keeping his mouth fucking shut in front of his own brother. Because he knows that he's going to have to do something fucked up at the end of this, right? And so he's almost the one who's in all of the carnage that's about to happen before anyone else, including he who remains.
Yeah.
Right? He's kind of accepted his part in stopping the loop.
Maybe then Loki... I think Loki finds the new Avengers and not the normal ones. Because
right, but they'll be one as we've mentioned before.
Yeah, but I think they're kind of combining more later on. They may
combine before their universe crumbles essentially. So it's kind of an arc of new Avengers and Avengers
because
reconciling with each other because they realize that they're about to be thrown into a whole new universe.
Yeah, because I think the best idea is you keep Ant-Man and Loki separate.
Yeah,
so that when Ant-Man goes and is like, I have an idea, it's a fucking gamble.
Yeah,
and he does it without consulting
Loki. So Ant-Man is with the Avengers and Loki is with the new Avengers.
Yeah, because Loki's just like, okay, who the fuck are the Avengers in this universe?
Oh, okay. And this also gives Thor from the Avengers
the
ability to have talked to Ant-Man prior, so he knows about Kang, he knows about what's going on.
Yeah.
So by the time he meets Loki, he also has this kind of, he has some of the pieces.
Yeah.
So he knows from context of knowing his own brother, and he knows from context of there being a couple of pieces on the board that are meaningless to him right now, that Loki is doing something nefarious.
Yeah.
And then there is a fight that goes on with that while this is all happening, while there is Kang, while there is a whole new universe crumbling. And then you have the OB and Mobius from X-Men and Fantastic Four trying to reason with Loki and try and keep them in the loop.
Yeah.
Thor realizes that Loki has new friends, tries to reason with them. What the fuck is going on? No one knows what the fuck's going on. They're all still fighting all these Kangs. They're all trying to fit the pieces together. Loki is still keeping his mouth shut. Boom. He who remains wins. Loki does what he has to.
Yeah.
You then get the Secret Wars start.
How far...
I think that's basically at a core.
That's
that is
the
story,
structure.
and then we work out the finer details from there.
Yeah,
cool. I'm gonna run today. Fucking hell!
All right. We've got our marble
the
block.
14-year-old me that made time runs out is cooking somewhere in my brain right now. All right.
So we've got our marble block. We know how big it is. We know where we're cutting.
We know the vague outline of what we want.
Yeah.
Now we gotta get
chisel.
the nose just right.
Time to chisel.
Yeah.
Do we want to start writing? And by we, I mean you.
I don't know if I'm gonna have the capacity to write any of that down right
just like bullet points. Or
let's take a minute for me to do it because it's going to involve graphs. So no
graphs?
talking. No, but like it is going to involve graphs. So no talking.
All right.
Put the little your usual.
All right. I don't want to.
And we're back. I've drawn a little scribble that is meaningless. Absolutely. Well, it means something.
It does.
And yet you look at it and it looks like a 12-year-old has tried to draw like a spider web.
Yeah.
Right. But we've got the intro. We've got He Who Remains and Kang meeting up in the what's the word for that place?
The Void.
In the Void. They meet for the Void in the first time. You've seen He Who Remains come from his lab that looks a lot like the kind of wizard dungeon place that he is in the end of Loki season 1. Then teleport into the Void, and then we get a little bit of a character introduction of Kang as a whole and how egotistic and how kind of full of himself he is, even though he's interacting with another version of himself.
Yeah.
Like, you start getting little inklings, kind of like how you probably have like the equivalent of like when two like macho men try and do a handshake, and then they're trying to like both do as strong a grasp as possible just to see who pussies out.
Well, I wonder whether it's worth having at least one
friendly, but not.
Yeah, I wonder whether it's worth having at least one of these fucking underling Kangs. Maybe the business one tries to like get a quick one and kill him. Tries to usurp him very quickly.
Yeah, that would definitely happen.
Yeah, and then you see how fucking scary the Kang technology is. If he's like when he's just fucking around. I want the
Rubber Tut one to do it. I think the Rubber Tut one's funny.
Yeah, okay, but like I think the idea of like him being able to freeze him and then being like, and then just like fucking aging him up, like into dust. Like
it's kind of like Minority Report with all of the graphs, but it's just him with the TVA device. He freezes time and then he just does a slider.
Yeah, and
then it's just like he gets so old and then his eyes.
Or even worse,
is that
like, or even worse, maybe he doesn't even have to kill him. He does the you know, have you seen the Black Mirror, The White Christmas?
No.
Okay, so in that essentially they can copy your consciousness and put it onto a computer,
right?
And the idea is that your copy of you runs your house, it's like the Alexa that runs your house.
Yeah.
And it knows you and stuff like that. But then when it starts misbehaving, they'll just be like, all right, fine, you can be in solitary confinement for 1,000 years, and it just simulates that of you just being stuck there. And I think that he can do shit like that, where he can like slow time down and then be like, all right, fine.
You're just going to live in a second.
You're just going to live. Yeah,
years.
you're going to live in a second for 1,000 years. You're going to be unable to move. All you can do is think. And eventually, when I release you, you're going to listen to me, or I'll just put you through it again.
I love the idea of someone doing. You know how like there's the fan edit of Endgame where it's the time traveling in real time, where you just sit there for like a minute while they're not there in the time machine.
It's so just you all have the other Kangs just kind of.
You have a fan edit where it's just someone is like really ready to fight Kang and then goes, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I don't think. I think you do it that way. I think you do it where he's like, he's like, all right, fine. How about I'm going to give you some time to think about it. How does 1,000,000 years sound? And then it's just like that. And then there's just like a couple of seconds,
one Mississippi, two Mississippi.
Yeah. There's a couple of seconds of the other Kangs who are kind of more on board. Yeah, just kind of like looking away and a bit like
because they've probably done it. Like they've probably gone through 200 years themselves.
Yeah, and then and he's gone for like a high number this time because it's important that
they really get it.
And like when that ends, he's just broken. And when he's like, you didn't last, did you? Shit. All right, get him out of here, replace him, and then they replace him with like another version of that guy who looks just like him.
Yeah, like almost identical.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
And that plays with both the concept of variance and that you are always replaceable.
So that will be a midpoint that kind of establishes.
Yeah, that can go whenever.
All the Kangs are also as vulnerable as the guys.
Yeah.
So with the roundup that I was doing, we had He Who Remains and Kang, and then you're establishing that, and then you're jumping into Avengers and the new Avengers, and you're establishing that there is still that beef between essentially Bucky and Sam, which is then like the parents are fighting, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got that dynamic over there. You're then also establishing the Illuminati elsewhere.
Yeah.
You're then also establishing X-Men, maybe on a usual adventure in the is it the Quinjet? What the fuck is it?
The X-Jet.
Is it actually called the X-Jet?
Probably.
Whatever. The thing that they're in, right? They're on that. Fantastic Four are doing their fucking thing, right? We get little snippets of them going through their usual daily lives.
Yeah.
Kangs appear in all of these.
Yeah.
Right? So we get that. Hold on. Before that, we have the TVA.
Yeah.
We have the devastation that goes on with the TVA and Loki having to get off his chair and try and save the day. Sylvie dies before him. B-15 dies before OB and Mobius. And then Loki, in a desperate attempt, flings all of them across the multiverse.
Yeah.
Leaving that Kang to just report back to the nearest place that he can.
Yeah.
He can.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, I could even see the point where, like, from that point onwards, the TVA becomes the Kang's, like, new base of operation. It's like, that's the strategic vantage point.
That's home base.
Yeah.
For them.
Because that arena from Quantumania.
It doesn't quite.
It's like
it doesn't quite have a.
That's the place. That's the town square. That's not the headquarters. You know what I mean? Like,
that's more like their little back garden project that they've done together. And then this is more like, all right, we're at war. We're establishing a field of operations. This is it.
I think you also get the fun of there being Kangs in that. Then it's like. That then take
especially because He Who Remains Kang built that place, and the other Kangs probably don't know that He Who Remains Kang has previously built that place. He Who Remains Kang doesn't even know that he built that place.
He just knows it's a place.
Oh,
it's
that's
a cycle.
How we play with it. So He Who Remains Kang, the reason why He Who Remains Kang believes Loki at the end
is because
he peeled away a little bit of the timekeepers and saw that there are Kangs behind that.
Yeah, and
then went, oh fuck, I'm not going to think about that. Continues with his egotistical quest. Loki goes, you know this is true.
Yeah.
You know that I'm telling you the truth. Bang. That's the final crutch moment. Anyway, back to what's going on now. So, TVA crumbles. We see Loki devastated. Loki, in a fit of desperation, flings everyone around. You have the Avengers and the new Avengers arc where they're slowly coming to terms with one another. So there's 3 different subplots happening on 616 universe. You have the Illuminate, you have the Avengers, you have new Avengers, right? Holy.
Yeah, it's stress.
Holy. And then you have X-Men, and then you have Fantastic Four, and they have their usual day-to-day activities. I think it's good to have the new Avengers on their like usual day patrols, what they're doing, right? So we have a little bit of a nothing's happening moment.
Yeah.
After the TVA collapses, so the audience knows, oh shit's going to get real now. But the characters themselves do not get given this information until boom, some Kangs appear. They have to. So what was once their regular patrols then becomes, I now have to deal with Kang.
Yeah.
So X-Men on like the X-Men fighting a Sentinel, Kang.
I
Fantastic Four fighting some random bullshit.
Yeah, I think especially in the earlier fight scenes, we have less Kangs coming in.
It's
like
more,
lower numbers of Kangs.
Yeah, it's more like the 1 Kang.
Yeah, and then it becomes
the 2 Kang and the 3
yeah,
Kang.
And then
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Or whatever.
I'm losing my mind.
And well, the idea being that like you know how in
number gets smaller, Kang number get bigger.
Yeah, but also bad movie to reference, but I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
In Venom 3, the alien in that, there's only 1 to begin with.
Oh,
and it's terrifying. And then by the end of the movie, I think there's like 3 or 4 of them. And like, even though the movie's not great, there is some impact of there being like, holy shit,
more of
there's
them being
more.
like, this world-destroying thing.
Yeah.
Oh, there's now more world-destroying thing.
Yeah.
But this has a little bit more gravitas than Venom, where it was just, we need more things on the screen. Fucking hate Venom 3. Fucking hate Venom 3.
Right.
It has so much lost potential. Unlike this, Kang Dynasty.
There's not enough time.
We're in the universe where Kang Dynasty, there's not...
Who knows?
Time is running out.
Time is running out.
Fucking hell.
Okay. So...
Urgency.
Let's talk philosophically.
Tour.
Okay. Sure.
My brain's so scrambled from doing the original setup.
Don't worry, I will guide you.
You guide me.
I'll guide you. All right.
I basically did the power thrust of getting us in, and then it's like, you've got to deal with the rest.
Let's talk about what world does He Who Remains and Loki and Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
What world? So I think this Secret Wars the battle world has to be slightly different from.
Oh, so this is what would Battle World be after
for them. So what?
Right.
What's the agreement between them as well? So Kang is the God Emperor Kang or whatever, or I think he's no longer He Who Remains. I think, but like he's not Kang either. That's the thing.
Secret Wars, where Kang is now the equivalent of Doom in the comics of Secret Wars, and Doctor Strange is this person who basically had the capacity to be in the role of Doom, but did not want to take up this mantle, and arguably would have been a better fit because he's not an egotist. However, Loki is probably quite defeated and tired and not feeling worthy of himself. So I would say he gets more of the narrative flow that Doctor Strange has, despite the fact that Doctor Strange is also there. I feel like he gets a bit more of the comic beats.
My one thing is, Kang the Conqueror dead by this point?
I would say yes. Or at least, if he isn't, he's kind of part of this new universe in the same way that in the comics the Thing is now the Wall, and that Molecule Man is now the Thing.
Yeah.
I would say he's the Molecule Man of the comics. So in the comics audience... You have...
I thought Loki would be more of that, like...
I don't think so. I think Loki is more... Oh, I guess... Oh, because it is that trio, isn't it? Because it's Molecule Man, what's-his-face, and...
Unless...
So it's Molecule Man, Doctor Strange, and Doctor Doom, who are the trio.
Unless we
move...
Unless we... Okay. Don't reject this outright just yet. Okay. Just hear me out. Okay, so unless we change the trio, we don't need Doctor Strange doesn't feel as important to this story.
I agree in some ways and don't agree in other ways.
Other than that, I think Doctor Strange is more of the initial, like, the implication is that Doctor Strange is the one who has maybe assembled the Illuminati. But, like, beyond that, he's not like somebody who's going to go toe-to-toe with Kang.
I agree with you that in this structure that we have made, Doctor Strange is kind of useless, and the narrative chain that he has in the comic, as Doctor Doom's side, like, aid, right? Fits Loki more. However...
No, but what I'm saying is...
However... I do think people will be pissed if we don't put Doctor Strange in that trio. Especially because I feel like a lot of his momentum in Phase 5 was kind of maybe playing into that.
I think you're definitely right in that regard. My thinking is that does our movie... Oh, helicopter.
Oh my god, it's the police. They're trying to shut Mr. Feige down.
Yeah, they are. So does our movie work better with the trio being He Who Remains, Kang the Conqueror, and Loki? And the big change that's happened in the cycle is that there's two Kangs who can work, who are fundamentally opposed, are forced to work together. And
I am gonna say no, for the very key reason, which is that the only way that you can make this entire dynamic that we have set up work is that He Who Remains does win at the end of... No. And he has killed Kang the Conqueror in that dynamic. That is the scene we have established. He has killed him off. there is too much gunk to clear away to say, and he's actually back to life and he's moving on. You have to have that beat, that emotional moment that he is one and he gets the dopamine kick from doing that. And that is way more powerful than just having two Kangs. That is way more crucial.
But can he not win and still not have...
No, he has to have killed him. It doesn't work otherwise.
Okay.
I really don't see it working otherwise. And I feel like Doctor Strange has a better fit. Because Doctor Strange, just because of what he's been doing in Phase 5, it makes more sense for him to be there.
Okay.
It makes more fans happy because they are seeing Doctor Strange in this role.
Right.
And the Loki fans are probably happy because they're getting the meat that was originally the Doctor Strange arc in the Secret Wars comic, turning a bit more into the Loki stuff, right? I would say the way that we do this, so we make Doctor Strange the Molecule Man, so that he is essentially constantly having to be in one room, using his magic powers to try and keep this world intact. And that this is essentially a warped reality of the world that lives in the void, that Loki kind of controls on the surface. Doctor Strange keeps controlled in a basement, and Kang relishes in the fact that he is in control. Even though he's also coming to terms with the fact that he didn't really win in the last one. He only sort of won the last one.
Well, I mean, I could see the dynamic being that, like, Kang is, or he remains, is the king of this battle world.
Yeah, like Doctor Doom. And...
But the difference is that Loki, while he's technically an advisor to the king,
is the leader,
is the one who is like running things behind the scenes,
and arguably more malicious than Kang ever can be at this point. Because Kang is a bit more broken because he's just had his whole worldview shattered. And now has to come to terms with it, and only gets a little ego boost from being the king of the known universe.
Well, I wonder whether like Loki presents himself more like like the head of the church or whatever, as like a priest or like a priest-like
Doctor
figure.
Strange is in
he's like the sheriff, isn't he? But like
he's both the sheriff and
no,
it's not quite the way you're remembering. So he is technically a sheriff character.
Yeah,
but so is Reed Richards' daughter.
Yeah.
And so Reed Richards' daughter is a head of the science division, and he is the head of the religious division.
Yeah.
And then Doom is the combination of both worlds, because thematically in the comics, he is both science and supernatural, right? So it's kind of like a division of labor thing. So he is kind of a sheriff, but he is also kind of literally a religious figure. So if we're doing this, Loki is essentially Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is essentially Molecule Man. Loki would be the head
How
of the church.
do you feel about the idea that Doctor Strange, before the movie begins, has met He Who Remains before? Not like is on board with him, but has encountered him before in the wild.
Wait, sorry, run that by me
So
again?
Doctor Strange, like at the end of Doctor Strange 2, goes through the multiverse.
So Doctor Strange 2 is... So we got to... Okay, right, so we got to make a time machine in this universe that we're currently in, to go back in time and tell the boys at Doctor Strange 2 to make this end credits where Doctor Strange meets He Who Remains.
Well, no, we don't need to... Okay.
We do. No, we do. We do.
But the idea being that, like, Doctor Strange has been given the offer of, like, hey, the only... I know how to solve incursions. It means no more other universes. And Doctor Strange hears this for the first time and is like, no, that's obviously not the way to do things. You're going to kill trillions of people. And then like that.
So he's having his own Loki season 2 arc in seconds almost, where Loki at the end of season 2 is going, okay, if I sacrifice myself, I can make all of this multiverse bullshit work.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange is like, no, there must be some other way.
Yeah.
So he's almost got the same emotional beat that Loki has at the beginning of season 2.
Yeah.
Where it's that surely there's a compromise.
Yeah.
And then he's eventually going to concede by the end of Kang Dynasty that there is no other way, and he has to join this bullshit that Loki has essentially set up, but it's Loki and Kang.
Well, I think while while He Who Remains fights the new Kang, the new Kang that's popped up, and there's Avengers fighting off that. I think once the numbers of the Kang army start dwindling, and you're like, and it looks like, oh, the Avengers are starting to win. I think you then have Doctor Strange steps in and is like, I'm sorry, I can't let you like get involved in the big fuck off fight happening between these two. And I will kill any of you if you try to get past me.
And this is the Avengers he's talking to.
Yeah,
I quite like that as well.
and he's like,
that also means that if we're talking about Secret Wars comics, you've essentially established an off group that knows that something is fishy, knows that Doctor Strange is suspect as well.
Yeah,
and they are essentially the equivalent of the Secret Wars comics group that gets to not get their amnesia.
Yeah,
right. The only caveat to that I have is that Thor cannot be part of that group, because I really want Thor to have amnesia by the end of this.
No, that's fine.
So Thor is not with the Avengers by now. He is gone off. He's now with the Fantastic Four.
I think it makes sense that Loki turns Thor into a regular. He's still got like super strength.
Because that was part of what was really kicking with me with the Loki idea being the Doctor Strange like head of the church sheriff character.
Yeah,
is that he also has his brotherly dynamic again, but he is the one in charge. He has the card. So where Thor in the Infinity Saga arc, right? He is the one that kind of loves Loki, and Loki can't help but get into trouble.
Yeah.
Loki loves Thor.
But
Thor can't help but get into trouble because he feels a higher purpose of justice to this whole situation. And so no matter how much you try and tell him that something is right, he knows it's wrong.
I think that part of the deal that Loki makes with Kang is that this new universe has to have Thor and all the people that have and a lot of the people that have died. He says, like, I will do this. I will help you do this. Yeah, and you can be in charge of it all. But you've got to bring some of these people back. They don't have to remember what's going on. Yeah. But like, I can't live with you winning without getting something in return. Yeah, let them live. Yeah, and Kang is like, oh, yeah, fair enough. But then that's the undoing of Secret Wars, because by keeping these people alive instead of creating new versions of them.
These two people essentially win and get their way begrudgingly, and because they're both so heartbroken about how they both technically win and compromise with one another, they create their own undoing in the next film. Yeah, I think that's
I think that is good.
And we're moving on to the next segment.
Yes, so assuming Secret Wars happens, and the undoing is that the Avengers, that these characters start remembering who they are.
There's a certain group
that already knows,
pod, like how Reed Richards has the pod with the Spider-Man and all the Black Panther, Namor, all them in the comics. There is a certain group.
Oh, I think you could set that up very nicely with when I think that the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, once they get together and they're fighting for a bit, and I think they should drop off the story, like kind of drop out of it. Yeah. And the assumption is that that they lost, and they're gone. Oh. And only for kind of near the end.
So you essentially you cold open Secret Wars with you assume that one of these groups has just died off screen. And then what actually has happened is that they have realized in their own terms what's going on, how they definitely can't win by the end of this film, and they are making a pod. Yeah. Right?
They're making a ship. They've made
they've been making a where you have Ultimate Universe and regular is it 616? What is
616, yeah.
Is it still 616 it's still 616 in comics. Okay. So you have the 616 and the Ultimate Universe kind of combining and going pod time.
That's why I really like the idea of you every now and then you kind of go back to Illuminati HQ, where the number of people that they have on their hologram monitors where
is
they can
increasing.
Is disappearing as universes are getting shut off. Right. And they're and it's like, all right, so what are you guys doing in your universe?
So okay, this guy's gone. We need someone. We need new talent in to deal with this problem.
Yeah, but then also it gets towards the very end, it's like, oh my god, Reed Richards is gone. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Professor X, the X-Men, where are the X-Men?
Yeah.
And they're got, and then it feels hopeless. But when what you can show in Secret Wars, when you eventually get to the flashback point, is that because you had Ouroboros there, who knows all of the like technology on how to survive time radiation and all of that.
Is OB going to be part of this group?
Well, no, OB lands with the X-Men.
So OB is going to be in the pod.
No, sorry, OB. Yeah, OB is there.
Let's go.
And he has built he has like had time to.
He's had time.
Yeah, to build.
OB has had time.
Well, because the OB is so smart.
Yeah.
That he probably went there, realized that oh shit, the Kangs are gonna arrive in the present and kill us.
Yeah.
So he probably quickly built a time machine because of how fucking smart that man is.
Yeah.
Went back probably a couple years,
or at least catalyzes all of the abilities that everyone had. So he essentially is the person that directs everyone into creating a time machine.
Yeah.
Into a pod.
With Reed Richards.
In the same way that Reed Richards' daughter in the prologue of the Secret Wars comic has essentially told all of the scientists to build different components and not tell them what it is until they're going, by the way, guys, it's a pod because we are doomed.
Yeah.
So OB is the one that has to do that.
Yeah.
He has to kind of get everyone to do their perfect skill set of whatever it is.
But in this movie, we don't see that happening.
This is Secret Wars that we're getting to now.
There's hints that that's happening.
Yeah.
And when you go back and watch this one, you'll be like, I see. Yeah, what's
this
going
is going to be the moment in fan response where fans are going to go, they forgot about them. There was so much stuff going on that they forgot about them.
And then it's
like 2 years later, they're like, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
We were on that shit. We know that there were too many things going on, so we made that happen elsewhere on Secret Wars. It's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen in front of your own eyes, and then we're gonna. Anyway. And I think the end credit for Kang Dynasty is Thor wakes up in this new battle world.
Yeah.
Loki is there. Loki introduces him to this higher purpose, and they say higher purpose, the whole Loki shit, of the Thor core.
Yeah.
And you see different characters being worthy and being having Mjolnir. I would even say in a meta level, right? We may or may not have run out of literal SD card space.
The multiverses were expanding too rapidly. The multiverses
were expanding too much. And like Mr. Feige came into the room and then like he kind of became two Feiges and then became one Feige. Yeah. And we were like, whoa, that's trippy. And then we fell unconscious and then we woke up again.
Yeah.
So I was on a fantastic rant.
It's all right.
And now
we didn't lose too much.
Yeah.
I checked.
Yeah, the multiverse is still intact.
Well, not in the story.
No, not in the story that we're doing, but in our reality right now, the multiverse is still intact. Thankfully.
So we won't be able to go home.
Call. It was a close call. We won't be able to go home.
No, I said otherwise we wouldn't be able to go home.
Oh, right. We wouldn't be able to go home. I don't know if I want to leave, though. This is the universe where I became, like, a genius.
Yeah, but Rue's an accountant.
True.
That's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
All right. So we were talking about the post-credit scene to Secret Wars and it being Thor feeling betrayed, and
Thor meets Sam in the forecourt, and that's
which we need to reiterate.
Oh, that got cut in our multiverse shenanigans.
Yes. So
essentially, that was so good.
Essentially,
all right.
The idea that Nat cleverly put forward,
right,
which I will now repeat, was
I will speak for that.
Yeah, was that Thor joins the Thor Corps.
Yes.
As a civilian,
and Loki is introducing. He's inducting him.
Loki's like, "Hey man, here's something for you to do."
Yeah.
And Thor is essentially meeting Sam Wilson, who's also part of the Thor, who's also enlisting in the Thor Corps as like a new recruit. But they both don't remember each other at all.
Yeah.
And what the conversation that span off from that was that we seem to both think that at least for the first half of Secret Wars, Thor should be our like point of view
central
character,
our perspective.
Yeah.
So Thor is now dealing with this new reality. So we were talking about so some key things. We were talking about how in the comics, part of the magic of that Secret Wars comic is that you go from Ultimate Universe Marvel and 616 Universe Marvel at their like apex hyper form in the most high stakes environment, and then suddenly the page turns and you are in the most low stakes fantasy environment with a complete disconnect.
Yeah.
Like your brain almost forgets that there was a whole other universe, an incursion event going on, and you go, oh right, this is the reality now. Okay, right, we're getting adjusted to that. So you need a little bit of an element of jovialness, even though this is the most bittersweet environment to be in, because you need you need Sam and Thor to have a bit of a buddy cop moment.
Yeah,
you need them to have a meet cute and it to be kind of charming in a really sad way. And you need Loki to have this kind of brotherly affection with Thor, even though you know that like
it's built on lies.
Yeah, and another dynamic of this that we realized was that Thor has a child.
Yes, at the
Love
moment,
and Thunder, and Thor has probably seen his child die, and now hasn't even been given the chance to grieve because he doesn't even remember the existence of this child. It's also a fun switch up because you have essentially gone from Loki and Thor's dynamic in the Infinity Saga being that Thor is the one kind of going, Loki, he means well, but he keeps on fucking up in stupid ways. And now Loki is the responsible brother in that dynamic. And Thor is the one that keeps on fucking up
pushing the boundaries
of what is acceptable in this new Kang world. Right? And so the idea was that we go through so we start with Secret Wars now. So we've moved past Kang Dynasty and we go to Secret Wars and we see Thor kind of mess around with the boundaries of what's acceptable and is maybe on patrol with Sam, who is now being a close friend and ally for him for maybe like a couple of years or something, right?
Yeah.
And then they see a pod on their patrol and they're like, what is that? And then we cut, and who do we cut to? We cut to the X-Men and the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Talking to So part of the group dynamic that is occurring in Kang Dynasty, one of these bits, like they split off and then they're working out how to build... They know that they can't win, so they're working out how to build a pod.
That can survive the universe's collapsing. Yeah.
And OB is on that
It's
project.
helped build it.
OB is essentially... So if you are a comic reader and you've experienced Secret Wars, you will be familiar with Reed Richards' daughter being the person who is responsible for constructing a pod and not telling all of these genius scientists that they're making smaller and smaller pieces of this larger scale device to save everyone, because it's such a bleak way of protecting themselves, and there's only like a certain amount of seats. You're basically accepting that millions die.
Yeah,
more. And that you get to live.
Way more, but and then like I think that the fun of Secret Wars then becomes you've got the characters that survived that, so I think that's where you really get to highlight the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, like heavily. And it's basically the X-Men and the Fantastic Four coming in
because you've essentially got a beat
and
save it, where it's just them,
and it's them coming in and liberating the characters that we care about from this fake life, and then eventually overthrowing Kang and Loki, and restarting the multiverse, but probably. My assumption would be
a combination of the X-Men and so that's how you jumpstart this new universe into being
where it's I think that after that is that you have the multiverse still exists, but in terms of story, I would prefer that the idea is that after the multiverse is still around, but none of the characters are allowed to know about it and know where it is and know.
Everyone forgets.
The things that everyone forgets is that there are other universes, but you then live in this new combined universe where the X-Men have always been there and the Fantastic Four have always been there. But like the events of the current MCU also, so like Infinity War and Endgame,
and it also kind of gives on an emotional level for fans. It kind of gives a feeling of they earned their place in this wider universe as well. They basically saved everything from crumbling. They have more than a right to now live in this new reworked 616 universe.
Yeah.
They did their duty to make that happen.
And I think that what you return to is
And it
is
also- it
Loki
becomes- it
Loki
becomes
going
less
back
soulless
to
as well, because a lot of the critique for Marvel is, it just feels like you're cheering on two corporations combining, and it's less about actors and their prominence that like it was back in the day before superheroes, and it's now just corporations being cheered on for combining and becoming one.
Yeah.
You have more of a human reason why these universes are all combining into one place. Sorry, you
well, and that's it. Is that Battleworld is the art is that artificial nostalgia, and I think that should be built like that.
Yeah,
Battleworld should feel like
it's almost like a corporate dream.
Yeah,
Of like, but then they fight now.
It's
and then
Disney. It's Disneyland, or it's
Holy
Universal.
shit, it's
It's
just
or rather,
Disneyland.
it's more. I mean, it's more Universal Studios.
Also, it makes the whole title of Battleworld funnier.
Yeah, because it's
Battleworld just sounds like, here is the environment in which these characters that we have bought from the other places now fight,
yeah,
and they win or lose, and this is entertainment for the masses.
yeah,
But then, so it's almost like like that combination of words. It has a whole new meaning in that it's almost like a play on how cynical things can get.
Battleworld is the most cynical and safe ending, which is why it can't be allowed to
and
be
it can't
the
exist
ending.
because there is no tension, there is no there is no conflict that you need in stories to be compelling.
Even when you think about like in the original comic, what is Doom's plan? What does he expect to have happen when he's been God Emperor Doom for 100 years and everyone he cares about has died? You know, what is he keeping people alive forever? Probably not.
I don't know what his plan is really.
What happens if he gets bored?
I think that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah,
of
is
what
that
Reed is doing at the end. Basically going,
you've not thought this through.
Yeah,
it's like this has worked for 8 years, but 8 years is not infinity.
Nothing compared to the wider,
And if you die, or if you give up, if you don't want to live anymore,
you get bored.
If you get bored, this whole place just dissolves, and then everyone
all these
here
people you're supposedly
saving die, and it's not better, and you know it, and you know that I could do better.
Yeah,
and I think that
because that is almost what is driving Doom through the entirety of the comics, is just that he wants.
Well, Doom thinks he can do better than the heroes, and then the Secret Wars is him knowing.
It's also just he knows deep down that he's kind of fumbled the bag, and he's trying to keep an 8-year tyranny ongoing.
Yeah,
and he deep down knows that Reed Richards is fucking right, that fundamentally everything that he has built is meaningless.
Secret Wars, I think, personally needs that 8-year gap. Just how Endgame needs its 5-year gap, because it needs that time for you to believe that
and these characters Doom has now aged up again.
Yeah,
the only trouble that comes into
the kids don't age up in the comic, which is interesting.
Oh, that is interesting. Never thought about that. What I was going to say was that I guess what magically happened with Marvel is that COVID kind of helped them, because it meant that 5-year gap then kind of shrank again.
Yeah. So it's
because if you had that and then there was no COVID and then you had another 5-year gap, you would essentially be 10 years ahead of current day, and you would lose touch with normal stories.
Yeah.
Because you would essentially be saying, this is all technically supposed to feel like it's present day to you, the market target, the audience, whatever.
Yeah.
But in reality of the 616 timeline universe, this is now 2030 or 2035.
They've done
right?
They've done very well, I think, to Thunderbolts takes place in, I think, 2027.
Yeah.
But and to be fair, again, COVID helped. COVID and the writer's strike helped to delay things enough
in
push
a way that is not
not
ideal for them.
Not ideal for them, but in terms of the audience, I think it actually helps that we're not so. It's more like how the original X-Men was only meant to be a few years in the future.
Yeah.
So X-Men is not meant to take place in the year 2000, even though it comes out in 2000.
It's meant to come out.
It's meant to come out. It's meant to be 2005 or
whatever,
yeah. And that, I think that what will also be good is that when you get a hard reset, is that you can go back to reset the year to be what it is again, and that you don't have to deal with Because
You don't have to
I bet
deal
you
with
that
the-
I bet you there's like a team of people at Marvel whose whole job it is
It's
to
checking
just
what
checking
day
the
it
date,
is.
the dates on all the props, and like checking the continuity. Because they
That's so funny. Like you look at like a prescription pill, and someone's got like the job of being like, hold on,
yeah.
that prescription pill should say 0-something 27. Like that would be such a like, in some ways fun job, in some ways so tedious.
Mm,
It would be like, oh, you mean I have to be consulted when there's like
mm,
a pill bottle or like an expiration date
yeah.
or like that would be so boring. Anyway,
Yeah.
anyway,
So, but to get to the point, I think that the ending that we have come up with, where it's essentially the X-Men and the Fantastic Four coming in and giving the heroes we care about their world back,
yeah,
or being partially responsible for that, I think that helps us with the idea that the next phase or the next saga after the multiverse saga is the mutant saga, which is what's already been announced, and that the
Is
heavy
that what's the what?
and that the heavy focus after Secret Wars, it won't be the only focus, obviously, because the multiverse isn't the only focus of the multiverse saga, and the Infinity Stones aren't the only.
Yeah.
But like, will be on most likely the mutant crisis.
Right.
This idea that like mutants are popping up and governments don't know what to do, and how does a team like the Avengers deal with that when the government is telling them to that the X-Men are terrorists or whatever, or and so on. And I think that it then adds another layer of like, well, we know, like, if in case there's any doubt, we know what a group of mutants did to bring all these people back, but the rest of the world doesn't.
It gives
get
them
to
more
know.
of an energy of being
Yeah.
antagonists in a later
Yeah.
saga as well.
It gives them momentum.
Less of a feeling of it.
Yeah.
They're tacked on, and it feels more like no, they are a fundamental part of this new universe, and this is why.
I think it also keeps the momentum up.
Yeah.
One thing I did see in an interview with the Russo brothers, they said that
In our universe.
in ours, so I would assume
In
it's
our
also
universe.
in this
Right,
one as
right.
well, that they unlike with like Endgame and Infinity War and Endgame, they're writing Secret Wars and Doomsday to feel more like a jumping on point than a jumping off point.
Right.
So, because I suppose again you've got like the whole like soft reboot
Yeah.
new universe thing, where some people, again, there will be in 5 years' time, there's going to be people going, oh, like it's not been good since Secret Wars. It all fell off.
Fucked off if people start.
There
talking
will
like
be.
that.
There
I'll
will
be. So
be.
fucked off.
Like it should have ended with Secret Wars. There absolutely will be.
You know what? Keep to your fucking guns. If you're someone like that, be like, it fell off.
It fell off with Iron Man 1.
It fell off with Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2, yeah, they should have.
They were like,
fucked
they
it.
should have
stopped with
it there. Iron Man 2.
I bet you there are people who genuinely believe it should have stopped with the Avengers 1. Like they were
That's
like,
funny.
who were like, yeah, that was the point. There was an experiment, and they got it, and then they should have stopped. It's like, why?
Right. Should we get back to our own universe now? I think we did. It.
I think, yeah. So essentially,
We're just going to write this all down.
write this all.
and then we're going to show it to the.
Oh shit! This room has auto transcribers. Interesting. Yeah, that's,
Yeah, that's
cool. It's like a
convenient.
robot. They've got robots here.
They got robots here in this universe.
Yeah, just in this
Why
room.
are we leaving this universe? This sounds so much better.
Because Rue's an
Rue's an
accountant,
accountant.
and we
Okay.
can't.
We can't abide by that.
Look, and also, it's not really our success. At the end of the day, you'd have that nagging feeling
Actually, I don't. I'd quite like
that
that. I'd quite
you
enjoy
hadn't that you hadn't earned.
Rue's an accountant, though. I'll take that. Rue's an accountant. That's a good meaning.
Me personally, I would have the nagging feeling that I didn't earn my place here,
Nah.
and that there was the version of me that
I'd ride that way.
and how awful I would feel if I was the version of me that worked really hard to get here.
No, but they're fine. They've got like being a
Being a
being a writer
podcaster.
at 25, being a podcaster.
Yeah,
Oh, what a fucking rough fall from grace. Like you're
Yeah.
like you're age 25
that's
and you're
like-
in charge of one of the most major blockbusters
that's
of all time.
Terrence Howard levels of falling off. Like,
Yeah, like you're in charge of the most major blockbuster of all time, and then you go to another universe and you are a podcaster
yeah,
who is making spec scripts.
tough.
Tough. All right, where do we
Okay.
go from here?
So,
Should we leave? we leave this universe?
I don't know how you get it to happen.
Please. Oh, whoa! Oh, my begs for mercy from the universe
it's worked.
It's working.
We're back in the normal elevator. It sucks a piss in here.
Kevin Feige might have pissed himself when we left.
He was looking for us. He looked in all corners of this elevator.
Maybe he's realised that he needs us.
Yes.
Maybe we're getting a higher purpose, a higher calling. Maybe he's going to pay us this time. Nah.
We're gonna have to keep pitching. But
We'll
eventually, this is.
We'll sit here in the stinky piss elevator. But maybe we get some Febreze, and we stay here more long term, right? And we sit here, right? And we do another season of this podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, this whole event has given me a bit of inspiration. I think, with the amount of characters that we have made,
that we've tackled in this one episode.
I think we're ready.
I love how we barely even touched Yelena or anything. We were just like, there's so much going on.
I think that, when we've got another 9 episodes, let's say.
Sure.
And then I think we can really begin to think about wrapping this up.
Yeah.
And incorporating our characters into Doomsday.
Almost like this is the wider idea that we've had behind the scenes for our podcast for a bit of time.
Nah.
Don't
know what that means.
What are we talking about?
I think we've all learnt a lesson here today. About
the lesson is
don't be an accountant.
Don't meet your heroes. Brackets yourself
in 10 years or an alternate universe of yourself who
don't meet your heroes.
Who's
where you Kang, which can be me, which can mean you, and it can we should never tell current universe Rue that there is a different universe Rue that is an accountant.
That would be
devastating. That would destroy the fabric of our universe.
Yeah. And we can't do that.
All right. Moving on.
We'll have a great 3rd season.
Lovely.
Hopefully. And that'll be it.
That'll be it.
It'll be over.
And we'll be done. And you'll miss us.
Yeah.
Whoever you are.
You'll miss us.
You'll miss us.
You'll see.
Or you'll see.
You'll see.
Or you can find me on Saturday Night Drive, which is a podcast about cars, like the motion picture cars, like the Pixar one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes I leave this elevator and I walk over to a different.
Well, it's still in Disney, so it's like
no, but we don't go to an elevator.
It's Pixar,
in that one. We just sit in a dark basement.
Oh.
And we just talk about cars, and then I leave.
Yeah, and then you come back to the elevator.
And then I come back to the elevator.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of yapping.
Maybe in the future there'll be a whole other environment. Maybe
we can start our own elevator.
Yeah,
and we can pitch
movies to ourselves. Yeah.
Yes.
Almost like that's what I. Yeah.
Perhaps one day
that's what I would have did.
We can branch away from Marvel and cars.
We can do some paratextual activity.
Yes.
Wrap it up. We're done.
Wrap it up. This is it.
End this now.
Auf Wiedersehen.